We're going to build the best football team in the SEC Conference. We're going to build the best football program in the SEC Conference.
You have now arrived at Stadium in Gale.
The kick, it's been blocked again! How about it? It's been blocked again! It's going to heave one deep down the field. It's going to be to the goal line. It's going to be gone! It's a touchdown! And the Gators have won the game! Tyreek Cleveland! How about it? I can't believe what I just saw! Dropping back to throw, pops and fires the ball over the middle. It's Dory! It's Dory! Got a touchdown! Dory got a touchdown! Oh man! Dory's got a touchdown!
Ahmad Black, in his final game as a Gator, takes it all the way home and sends Urban out the winner.
You have now arrived at Stadium in Gale.
Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Stadium Miguel. It's your favorite Uncle Silk.
And Delatorre.
Same corner, same time. We back at it. How are you guys doing this today? Monday afternoon. A little cold?
Bro,
It's cold.
freezing.
It's cold in Tampa. There's some freeze here in Tampa. Last night, not here where I am, but up north and out west or out east a little bit. So it's cold up here.
It was like 31 degrees. Walking the dogs this morning. Quick walk. Quick walk. In and out.
Get in and get out.
They're not trained to walk themselves?
Story of
Yeah.
Nick's life.
Absolutely. Well, the backyard's fenced in, but the big dog, we got an 8-month-old, 9-month-old Old English sheepdog who needs like to get some energy out.
Okay.
Like walked out, peed, and I was like, yeah, back inside. You can go out in the backyard and run around all you want, but I'm going to be inside.
I feel that, man. Yeah, it was real nippy this morning. I take my daughter to the bus stop before I take my son to school, so I jumped out like 6 in the morning, the high school hours. I jump out there with just a little hoodie on. I had to double back. I was like, nah. Matter of fact, let me warm the car up and cut the seat warmers on for a little quick second, and then I'll be back out there.
Oh man, it's sad. Last week when we recorded, I told you boys I was going to be heading to Cabo. Well, we took our COVID test because we needed a COVID test to check in and everything else. So we got the word on Tuesday night and then reaffirmed Wednesday that Brooke was positive for COVID. So instead of spending the last 4 days, including today and what would have been tomorrow as well, in a beautiful resort in Cabo, I was here in Tampa where it was cold and cloudy all weekend, but it's good to be back with you boys.
It's like an extra kick in the nuts there. It's not even like nice, beautiful rave weather for you in Tampa.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing going on, but I mean, we couldn't even go outside. I mean, you could, but like, why would you? And then, so Gasparilla is on Saturday. Big shout out to Tampa. But on the week before, so this past weekend, they do this thing called the Children's Parade because normal Gasparilla is just not kid friendly. So it shuts down a big portion of South Tampa. So you're kind of stuck in your house anyway. So, but Silk, I'm surprised you've not been over to Gasparilla. We need to invite you one of these years.
This year just never works out for me, I guess, because we always doing National Signing Day stuff, and it's hard for me to make back-to-back trips. And we got the hockey trip coming up too, so I don't think I'm gonna make it this year, bro. But I'm definitely gonna be out in the Bay quite regularly this year. I'm excited about that shit. I got some other shit cooking.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff going on. Yeah,
I keep saying the S word. I forgot what show I'm on.
No, you're good. I think you can say it on TV now, so you're good. No, we do have an announcement. A couple of years ago, we did a big event with the Lightning, and it looks like we're going to be doing something similar. So stay tuned for details there at the end of February. But boys, we got a lot to talk about. We got legendary Gators defensive back Tony George on. We also have legendary kicker. This is Nick's type of content. Caleb Sturgis coming on a little bit later as well. But before we do that, let's give a shout out to our friend Alan Horn and Alan Horn Insurance, who is the title sponsor of Stadium in Gale. He is a State Farm agent in Jasper, Georgia. He specializes in auto, home, renters, life, business, and retirement planning, but also works not only in Georgia, but in Florida, Alabama, and Tennessee. So check out Alan Horn Insurance. That's Alan, A-L-A-N, Horn, H-O-R-N-E, insurance.com, or give him a call at 706-629-2888, or visit him on Twitter and Instagram at SFAgent Alan H, or on Facebook at Alan Horn State Farm Agent. So shout out to Alan Horn and Alan Horn Insurance. All right, boys, before we get Tony George on, let's talk a little bit about recruiting. A lot of things happening in the world of Gators recruiting right now. And we'll talk about the big news. Harold Perkins, the one everybody wants to talk about. But the Gators do add a couple of commits over the last couple of days. Today, Andrew Savinia, that is definitely not how you pronounce it, has announced that he's committing to the University of Florida. Wasn't really a surprise. Came to visit this past weekend, 6'4", 273-pound. Edge rusher, holds offers from Oregon, UCLA, California, Washington, Oregon State, and a number of others. But the Gators add Andrew to the Gators defensive line. So, Nick Silk, any thoughts on Andrew?
Yeah, I'll go first. Okay, get. I think like at this point again, I don't think it's a bad get at all. Decent competition you're in it for with the kid. I think he has good film, but it's a program guy. Not gonna come in and play right away, but I do like the eval. I don't think it's a bad eval. I don't think it's a bad take this late in the game. We'll talk about the other commits as well in the future, but I don't think it was a bad get. I understand it. Nick?
It seems like there's a segment of the fan base starting to turn on Billy. For some of these guys, I guess I get why.
You got to provide these people and educate them on like the whole scenario, right? So we're not just grabbing 3 stars with plenty of kids available. You let go of your recruiting class. We're right before National Signing Day. You don't have relationships with a lot of these people, so it looks like they went after guys they had relationships with. I don't mean to cut you off, Nick. I'm sorry about that, but just to paint the entire picture of everybody that's ready to jump out of a window. Because you're letting 3 stars. There's not a whole lot of 4 stars out there.
Yeah, I mean, well, first off, it's a transition class, but I get it. Like, there's PTSD after, because we did the same thing. I think Mullen came on and started taking some guys that were maybe suspects, maybe fringe. Should you be taking these guys? And now you're, just 4 years later, you're seeing that same thing happen and. Getting some PTSD. I get that. It's a transition class, kind of like Silk said. You were on staff, like 10 days before or the early signing period when most of the kids sign. Then you have to like recalibrate, readjust everything that's going on. And sure, there's, the Jacoby Matthews, there's the Harold Perkins out there. There are still big names to be had, but Florida's got 14, I guess 15 with the preferred walk-on, 15 kids signed to the class. Like, you still need to fill out the class some. You don't need to Florida's not going to sign 28, but you still need to fill out some of the class. And I don't know. Maybe Billy sucks at recruiting, and we'll find that out. And these people who are early on are right. But for me, I definitely reserve judgment of a coach in the when he's had
I'll be real with you. Like, it's not gonna take a lot for me to like figure out if this guy's a recruiter. I already know he'll recruit. It's gonna be interesting to see which battles he win, but you could tell recruiters. We knew Dan Mullen coming in, regardless of what he said, his work, what he's done, and then the attitude towards it, like the emphasis on recruiting. I think is huge right now. Yeah, so from watching the visits, I don't
That's
think
a big difference to me. So.
And I don't think these guys settling either. I don't think they just losing a battle and saying, I'm going to take a 3-star. That was a lot of the vibes with the last staff was just like waving the white flag and conceding. These guys are still out there. Perkins. They landed Kamari Wilson. They're competing still trying to get Shamar going in home, doing Gentry Williams going in home, even with no official visit set up. So these guys are recruiters fighting to the end, trying to land people regardless. And that's just what recruiters look like.
No, I would agree with you, Silk. I mean, I think that's the most important change that we've seen, between this staff and Dan Mullen is not only going after a lot of those big targets, but also seemingly having plans in place as well. If, somebody doesn't, commit, I mean, we're seeing it now with Trevante Citizen, right? And, maybe he goes somewhere else, but they have, the running back James that's committed to Georgia right now, coming on a visit here soon. I think that they're going through the normal state of affairs of you evaluate what's left on the board, you evaluate, who's attainable, right? Just because there's a 4-star or 5-star guy that's out there and Florida doesn't go after him or doesn't get his commitment, also doesn't necessarily mean that the staff is interested in that 4-star or that 5-star, or just because they are a 4-star or 5-star doesn't mean that they're necessarily, introduced or interested, in the Gators as well. So you do have to go and you have to win battles. You have to go head to head and you have to compete against, your Georgias and your Alabamas and your LSUs and your Oklahomas and, your in-state rivals. And I think that they're doing that. We will see, how well that turns out. But, right now these scholarships don't go untaken, right? Unless you give them to a preferred walk-on, give them a scholarship, but you've got to fill the class out. And, we've never been in a world where more people have transferred, after a year or two. And maybe, some of these takes don't last or don't make it, but
most takes from transition class just don't pan out. So Billy's trying something from a different perspective when you let go of the class, because when you look at the history of transition class, they fail. So like with him trying something different, whoever we're recruiting, we could have kept the 4 or 5 stars, whoever. We've had CC Jefferson and the other 5 stars in transition classes that didn't pan out. So transition classes traditionally and historically are terrible. They just don't pan out. So it's a different approach that they're doing this year. And we also have the portal. Where we stand at, Nick, on 3 before we move forward to other recruits? Where we stand at rank-wise?
I think right now it's 37. I'm pulling it up right now because it was higher, or 33. It was higher.
What you guys did to Kamari Wilson is a travesty.
Bro, the message board is popping off.
No, what y'all did to Travis Hunter was nuts too, bro. You're like, wilding out a little bit.
They're like,
Florida's
Nick, we need answers.
Right now.
They're like, Nick, we need answers. I'm like, dog, I have no input in that. No idea. Couldn't tell you. Yelling at the wrong person. You're yelling at the mailman when he brings you.
Point at the guy we need to yell at, Nick. Who we need to yell at?
I don't know. Yell at Dan.
I don't even work for On 3. That doesn't even make sense, Nick.
Yeah,
when in doubt,
Dan just brought it up.
Dan brought it up.
That's right. Blame Dan for bringing it up. No, but I think right now, Florida does sit with some high-end prospects: Kamari Wilson, Shamar James, Chris McClellan, Devin Moore, and they're after a few others. I mean, we'll talk about it probably after we get Tony George on here. But at the end of the day, Florida does have to fill these spots out, and whether this kid fits in as a defensive end, some people are saying maybe even tight end. He's an athletic kid, has a good frame, and we'll see what he develops and comes into. We did take another tight end that may or may not also play tight end. Who knows? I don't.
I want to see how everything pan. That kid is huge. We go ahead and continue with the rest of the. He's huge. No, I don't know. Our tight end room is weird.
Very weird, and I think it's going to get even weirder here soon. But the Gators do. We'll talk about this and then get Tony on. But the Gators do bring on Hayden Hansen as well, 6'5", 250 pounds, out of Weatherford, Texas. Was previously recruited and I think committed to Louisiana at some point, had backed off that commitment, but the Gators go after him. Obviously a workout freak, probably not as highly ranked as fans want again, but a guy that definitely looks the part. Now it's a matter of does he fit that part, and what role does tight end play in the new offense is certainly very different than Dan Mullins.
Let's pick it back up. We'll finish. Catch back up right at that spot.
Perfect.
Let's hang out a little bit.
Yeah, perfect. But before we do that, let's give a shout out to our friends over at Home Field Apparel. Visit Home Field Apparel, use promo code STADIUM, and Gail get 15% off. They just announced the new Cincinnati line. So if you're a fan of Skyline Chili like Nick Delatorre is, and maybe you're also a fan of the Cincinnati Bearcats, go check them out. HomeFieldApparel.com, use promo code STADIUM and Gail and get 15% off. And we are welcomed by none other than Florida Gator defensive back legend, former All-American, former All-SEC, former academic All-SEC. I mean, just a real winner. Tony George, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on today, my friend.
We're going to end up with like a 3-hour show, just a 3-hour show introducing you, Tony.
Hey, I love it, man. I love hearing you guys talk, man. You guys are talking some great stuff over there.
I love it. Well, Tony, man, it's a pleasure to have you on. Every once in a while we ask the fans who they want to hear from, and your name always comes up. So super glad to get connected with you, especially on short notice. But Tony, want to go all the way back all the way back to your time. You commit to the University of Florida right around the time that Steve Spurrier's ascension to the University of Florida. You're at UF from 95 to 98, really some glory years. But originally born in Cincinnati, Ohio. So first, before we do that, we have to get your thoughts on Skyline Chili.
Man, the best. Not even a question. Hands down, Skyline Chili is the best. That and some La Rosa's pizza and maybe some Grippos. Yeah, we got the whole deal going up there in Cincinnati.
I'm down with the Grippos. You guys have to let people know that the chili is sweet. So no one told me.
Nick been slandering it, man. So.
No one told me the chili's sweet. So I go.
It's that chocolate that's made in it. You didn't know that, huh?
Chocolate?
No.
It has chocolate in the chili.
I'm calling the feds.
It's
put chocolate in chili.
It's definitely addictive.
You can imagine my surprise. I get a bowl of chili, and I'm thinking, okay, we're gonna have some heat on this. And first bite, I get chocolate, and I'm like, no, you need a warning. You need a disclaimer.
Definitely,
if it's your first time going to get Skyline Chili, you have to have a disclaimer.
That's very true. I mean, you can't just hop in on there. I mean, a lot of people are not used to putting their chili on top of spaghetti and things of that nature, but. We bring it all the way home, man. We try to get everybody. We try to get you all in one. We try to get the hot dogs, the chili, and everything all in one.
But Tony, I have to ask about the pizza too. You guys put cold cheese on it after you cook it, right?
Man, listen, that's
what
how
is
we do it. I don't know.
On?
I don't know, man. It's just something that's just a Cincinnati thing, man. I mean, everybody do that. I personally never did the cold cheese on top of pizza, but I did the La Rosa's, and I watched everybody else do it, and I was like, interesting, but I like my pizza hot.
That's nuts. Y'all are nuts in Cincinnati.
We a different beast up there.
So Tony, I was preparing for the show today, and I was reading a little bit about you. Said that you were recruited by 167 colleges. How did you determine how did you eliminate all of those schools and end up at the University of Florida?
It was very interesting. I think the day that Coach Spurrier and his staff, Ron Zook, came to visit me, I also had Lou Holtz and Phil Farmer sitting in my house, and they were kind of jockeying to try, because at that time you had kind of time periods that were set up to kind of speak and talk with the coaches, but at that time, Spurrier was just kind of sitting back, and Coach Zook, they were sitting back and they were watching Phil Farmer and Lou Holtz fight over my time. And they were just sitting there, and they were just in the car, and they were laughing and giggling. Finally, they got out of the car. He's like, man, it is. You know how Spurrier is. Man, I guess these guys are here fighting for nothing, huh? I said, that's all it. And then he came in, and he was so honest with me. He said, Tony, we probably could have used you in some facet this year. He said, but I'm going to be honest. He's like, you're a little scrawny. Because I was all of 149 pounds at that time running track, but I was super fast. So he was looking at me. He's like, yeah, he said, well, I'm not going to tell you that you can start for us, but we find somewhere for you out there. For me, that was a challenge to me, because in my head, it's like, wait, did you just see who was just fighting at my door? And you're telling me that I don't, okay. I said, cool. Let me see the best of what you got. And I heard about how fast all these guys were in Florida. My goodness, I didn't believe it until I got there. It was true. That speed in Florida is a different type of deal. And then you had the best from Georgia. You had the best from North Carolina, the best from anywhere you could think of, Texas. I mean, we were getting those types of recruits at that time. So it was tough trying to figure out, whether or not I wanted to go to these other 166 schools, one of these other 166 schools, or this school. But when I heard about that, I really knew that I was going to bleed orange and blue.
Nowadays, you might have just been able to hit the portal. Like, really?
Right.
You don't think I'm good enough? I'll head out to someone who's on the schedule next year, and you'll see if I'm good enough.
This portal thing is an absolute beast as well. I'm in shock in all these portal transfers. But one thing about it is what I do love is that there is no reason for a great kid to be sitting on the sideline now.
Absolutely.
And I think that's probably the best thing about this portal, is that kids now that maybe would not have gotten that opportunity sitting behind a guy like, I don't know, sit behind a guy like sit behind. But I mean, I had to sit behind guys like a Lawrence Wright and Anthony Lotz, and I had to understand what this game was all about because, again, being fast is not the only thing that's going to get you on the field. You got to be intelligent enough to get out there as well. And I had to learn some savvy moves from some very smart veterans. I had the Shea Showers out there, the Michael Gilmores, the Sammy McCorkles. I mean, John X. Knightis. Those guys were so smart at what they did that you couldn't help but to learn from what they were doing. So I enjoyed the process of being able to be red-shirted and then getting out there when it was my time.
Hey, Tony, real quick.
All right, go ahead, Phil.
Real quick, you was talking about the transfer portal. What was your freshman year like when you got there to the coach? Like, it was different. It's a different vibe, a lot of competition. Yeah. So what was that like? Wasn't no portal, you had to stick it out. So what was those times like for the average kid that don't know?
I tell you what, it was quite different because you really had to exude confidence, and you really had to understand what the system was like, and you had to adapt to that system. I think the one thing that made Coach Spurrier so different from every other coach that I've ever been around was that Coach Spurrier, he found a way to pull what it is that you were great at and he found a position for you to be able to play so you can kind of exemplify that talent. And that was the biggest thing. I think we had a coach that took time to understand what our talent was. And these days, it's instant gratification right now. You got to be great right now. As soon as you step on campus and you got 4 years to get it done, Spurrier was like, hey, listen, I'll tell you what, let's pull you back for a year. Let's get a few pounds on you, and then let's make you better, because you can be great, but you got to understand the system. You got to understand how it works. You got to understand what it's going to take to get there. And that was the thing that's missing, I think, with a lot of these kids that are coming in now from portals and everything else. They don't understand no matter where you go, you're going to have to learn the system. You're going to have to learn the coaches. You're going to have to learn the other players. And you're going to have to learn all the attitudes that go along with that. And what you got to buy in.
Yeah, you got to buy in and stick it out. It's going to be some hard times. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that I wasn't allowed to just say, well, I'm going to transfer and go back home. I wish I would have told my mom and dad that. They would have said, get your butt back down there. They said, get your butt back down there. And first of all, you better be learning. Second of all, once you get that learning process down, understand this is what real life is all about. Right. Your coach is your boss right now. And you got to understand, you can't just go and keep talking back and doing this and doing that. Do your work and be great at your work, and then he'll reward you.
Right.
And I learned it from that standpoint. That's the way my parents taught me.
What I always wonder, I mean, to go to a school like Florida, you're probably the best kid on your Pop Warner team, you're the best kid on your high school team. What's that like mentally when you get to a place and you've always been the best, and now you've got your head coach telling you like, we don't think you're good enough. And like you said, like there's guys who are, you're 18 years old. There's guys who are 22 on the team. They've been doing this, and they're just more mature than you. What is that process like for an 18-year-old kid to not be the big dog on campus, when you get to college anymore?
It's interesting because, as every freshman, we come in with this sophomoric attitude. We're very immature and overconfident. Mm-hmm. But then you have guys. I had my defensive line when I first came in was Kevin Carter, Mark Campbell, Ellis Johnson, Johnny Church. When I tell you it was veteran leadership, David Bernard, listen, go in there with an attitude against any one of those guys. And I promise you'll get straightened out really, really quick. And Mark Campbell is the guy that I loved and feared the most, because he's this big Jamaican guy that looks at you and he talks with this strong, heavy Jamaican accent, and he dares you to do something other than what the coach tells you to do. And he's giving you this look the whole time. And you had to understand what that look meant. And we as freshmen understood that that's not the guy that you ever want to get angry or mad. We want that guy on our team. And that was the attitude that we all had to adopt. I was with the guys, we called ourselves 9 Quad. And I tell you, with Jaquez Green and, Riddell Anthony's and Ike Hilliard and my boy that called me today, Mike Peterson, man, listen, we understood what our role was because we stuck together. We all redshirted together. We all went out, except for Riddell and Ike and obviously Fred Taylor, those guys were playing. But it was a select few of guys that we all stuck together as freshmen. We went to games together. We understood what the camaraderie was all about, and we had each other's back. And we learned that from having those veteran guys like Mark Campbell and Kevin Carter and Johnny Church. We had to see what that looked like, and then it wasn't. We learned how to develop what the team was going to be like through watching their leadership.
Mark gave you the look like, listen, as soon as you talk back to coach, as soon as he leaves, you're going to answer to me in this locker room. Once the coaches are out of this locker room, we're gonna figure this out.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
What was the practice culture like with going against like top competition, guys like Riedel and Quez and all those guys and Ike? Those probably the best trio ever, right, in college football. What was practice like?
I'll tell you what, I'm gonna give you a story. I'm gonna tell you how good I thought I was, and then I'm gonna tell you what Spurrier did for me. I thought I was so good because I think I had went against Travis McGriff, and I knocked his pass down, and I was talking so much trash, and all of a sudden, Coach Spurrier said, "All right, line them up." So he lines up Aubrey Hill, Chris Dorn, Jack Jackson, Riedel Anthony, Ike Hilliard, Jacquez Green. I mean, he lined up his 10 best receivers, and I went 0 for 10. And it was then that I learned that I had to go to work. And Larry Kennedy, I'll never forget this. Larry Kennedy looked at me and said, "Don't worry about it. I'm going to show you exactly what you got to do in order to be great. I got you, dog. Don't worry about it." And it was then, like Larry, to this day, Larry Kennedy is one of my biggest mentors, you know, and it's like that. It was a true brotherhood of showing you how to get through those moments. It was, by the time we got to a game, it was a cakewalk. We seeing this every single day. And then when we really got competitive, when Coach Stoops came on board, that's when we really got competitive, because it would get so bad that he and Coach Spurrier, we would have to practice that several times because they're going at each other's heads. Now, that's the type of stuff that got us ready to be able to win so many championships, is because we understood the importance of understanding what this means to go ahead and practice every day. And we didn't have any days. We didn't have days where if we missed class, things like that. You're not going to miss class and then think you're going to come out here on this field. You're going to run together. You guys are going to get in trouble together. You're going to do everything together. We did everything as a team. So if one person messed up, we all messed up. And that accountability is what made us great.
Tony, I want to ask you, I mean, obviously you had an illustrious career, at the University of Florida. I know for a lot of Gator fans, your interception return for a touchdown against Peyton Manning sticks out, but what we've talked about to a lot of athletes is that, sometimes there's a play that maybe doesn't get remembered by the fan base, or, maybe something that clicked for you. What were some of those, either plays or moments that clicked for you, where you went from good to great to, All-American?
I think my first real live action of everyone being able to see me on TV was when we played against Nebraska. We played against Nebraska in the Fiesta Bowl. I can distinctly remember we called it Red 1 because Red 1, at that time, University of Florida, Red 1 meant no parking, automatic ticket. And we would always try to park in the Red 1. Well, Lawrence Phillips was wearing this Red 1. So we come out through these drills, and we're running through these drills. They're drills while they're warming up, and we're yelling and screaming, "Yeah, we got to kick you, got to do this, do that." Listen, Nebraska didn't budge. They didn't come off of their stretch. Nobody talked any trash back. I said, "Oh man," we didn't even rattle them. And then they all stood up in unison. They all clapped, and then they all went to their position drills. Nobody said a word. Man, when that first kickoff came, man, I was like, whoa, these dudes are bringing it. And I felt like I was very strong as a defensive back. But these guys were bringing it. I mean, I'm talking about it seemed like their whole kickoff team ran 4-3. Nobody broke stride. Nobody did anything. It was like our whole team got demolished on the first play. So I said, okay, let me return this favor. I'm going to return this favor. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run down here. I'm going to make a play for our team. So I run down there on punt team, and I run down there, and the guy, literally, he gets the ball in his hand, and literally, as soon as he catches it, I knock the snot out of him. That was the play to where I knew that I was ready to take it to the next level, because I was able to match what, at that time, what the greatest team was throwing out at us. I was able to match it. And I said, I can do this. And then once we lost that, I spent my whole off season, man. I didn't go home. I didn't do nothing. I didn't want to see nobody. I said, I'm going to be out here and I'm going to make some things happen. I'm going to do whatever I got to do to help our team get a championship. And sure enough, that next year is when we brought it home.
Was that kind of the attitude everyone had on that team?
Every last one of us. I don't think anybody went home. And that includes Danny. I don't think anybody went home. I think our whole team was there as a unit. We went to Lake Alice together. We went to Lake Alice together. We did team stuff together, 100%. We had barbecues in Flavet Field. We did stuff together to let everybody know we're in this for one thing and one thing only, and that's to win this chip. And we was hoping that we would see Nebraska again, but we were more than happy to demolish Florida State. I'm just so happy about that. Every day I wake up thinking about how bad we beat Florida State. That's so awesome.
Me too.
Take me through that, because I just wrote about it with the 25th anniversary in January. Take me through that last month of the season, because you guys just rolled through everybody that year, and then lose to Florida State, and it kind of had to, like, there were so many different dominoes that had to fall. Like, how closely were you watching Arizona State? How closely were you watching Texas? All those other teams that had to, win games to give you guys a chance to even have that redemption game against Florida State.
Absolutely. Let me tell you, it was complete chaos. Coach Spurrier moved us from our original hotel we were staying at to the outskirts of Baton Rouge to get away from everybody. And all we heard was screaming from one room to another room to another room to another room. And when I tell you it was the complete pandemonium, it was like, wow, all right, now we playing for the chip. Now this means something. I mean, practice. I mean, you can hear a flea peeing on cotton. Like it was intense. It was that thick, and we were so ready. We were so focused. We were so laser focused on getting it done. By the time that game got there, it was an emotional outburst. We were ready to go, and we weren't going to be denied by anyone or anything. And when I tell you, our guys, every last one of them, my brothers, they brought it. We had each other's back, front, and side to side.
Pause a little bit there, Tony. But how was New Orleans, man? I remember that game. That's probably one of my favorite Gator nights. I was a kid, man.
Sounds like screw the game. What was the celebration like? That's
what was the vibes like, man? The game, everybody knows the game. We know what happened. We beat the snot out of them people, man. But I want to know the shenanigans, man. That's the first one.
I think the first one was so intense. I guess we want to talk about the championship afterwards. The game itself, we already kind of knew that we felt that we were going to demolish them. It wasn't even a question. I think what it was after the game, we didn't realize the excitement that it had brought to our fans, to our people, to our families. I don't think any of us could have grasped what that was going to be like, what that was going to feel like. And, we knew we were doing something big when we saw Ric Flair at the bar at our hotel buying everyone drinks and saying it's on me. And he shows everybody his Gator underwear. I mean, it was that to me was a life-changing moment because I'm a big time wrestling fan, so I love wrestling. So to have Rick saying, "Tony George, great job," woo, that to me was like, he knows me. He knows me, Dad. Did you like that? That was like, geez, I said we graduating to the big time, and to me, I think that's the hunger that you pass on to the younger guys, to the younger generations, is that once you experienced it, you don't want to lose it. You're going to carry it with you for life. You're going to carry it to you when you do your work, your job. Like I'm here at my gym now. And listen, everybody that's out there on the floor, when I work out, everybody watches because I still carry that. Because I want people to know that you say you want your kid to go to this next level. Here's how they got to work. Here's how they got to train. This is what they got to do. And if this is what they want to do, they got to come against guys like me. And that is such a honor and a privilege to be able to have done that. I can't begin to tell you the feelings and the emotions that roll with all of that. It's you can't describe it. It's just unbelievable.
I love that. At your age, you're telling moms and dads, listen, if your boy wants to be a D1 football player, he's got to work out harder than I am now, and I haven't been a D1 football player since the 90s. And if he's not outworking me in the gym,
that's right.
Play tennis.
You ain't gonna make it. Yeah, I told him
Play
go play
tennis.
chess. I said go play chess because your heart ain't in it. You got to have a different type of hunger to play at these levels now. Like, and I say these levels because even Division II and Division I and 1AA and HBCUs are now, they're putting out that massive talent the same type of way now. But you got to be so hungry to know that you are one of the best to even be able to receive a scholarship, let alone to be out there to be one of the 11 or the 22 or the 33 that's out there on the field making a play for your team. You gotta be something spectacular in order to get in that position. And I tell you, if you're not working at it, I always tell everybody, hard work beats talent when talent don't want to work hard. You gotta understand what that means. It's more than just those words. You gotta get in here and get it done. There is no off season. There is no nothing. You gotta put the work in, and there ain't nothing that somebody gonna buy for you that's gonna help make you get it. So you just gotta put that work in.
Right, whoever's listening to the podcast, I hope they're at the gym listening to you right now. They're getting extra lift in or something.
They better. I tell you, I'm about to get it in here in a little bit with my kids, but I had them ready. Too. So I try to get ready.
You got great Steve Spurrier stories. Give me a Bob Stoops story.
Oh man, Bob Stoops, man. Listen, you got this kind of raspy Ohio guy from Middle Ohio that comes in and he studies every person, and he's like, this person, and he's looking at you, and he has this big thing. So I decided one day I didn't want to hit my teammate going through the drills too hard. I don't want to hit anybody. I don't want to knock anybody out. They know I'm a hit machine. So we're running through the drills, and I believe we got one of our defensive backs. His name was Al, and Al decided that he was going to go through a drill, and he kind of didn't want me to hit him. So I said, all right, easy. And then Coach Stu said, no, run it back. Go full speed. I said, Coach, I'm not going full speed. I'll kill this kid. And he's like, no, you're going to do as I say do. I said, you know what? I said, Coach, I'm not going full speed at this kid. I tell you what, you get off of my field right now. I said, I tell you what, I'll go play offense. and literally, Coach Spurrier grabs me and puts me over there on the offensive field and I play a wide receiver against the DBs. And then I'm beating our DBs. I mean, this is Fred Williams. Who else was out there? Anthony. No way. Yeah, it was Anthony first year. I'm sitting here and I'm looking and I'm like, and Coach is looking at me like, huh. And he's like, I don't want to have you play for me anymore. I said, that's fine. I said, it looks like I'm going to be scoring touchdowns from here on out, right? Like I'm talking, but I'm realizing like, man, this ain't right. Coach Perry's like, all right, Tony, you had a good day. He said, I tell you what, just go home and relax. Take the day off. I don't want you to come back and talk to Coach Stoops in the morning. I'm going to talk with him. And, Coach Perry talks with Coach Stoops, and Coach Stoops, he said, Tony, I have never seen a guy with so much talent in you, but you got to learn how to channel your emotions. I said, I'm sitting here thinking the whole time, you yelled at me. And I'm like, but I'm laughing on the inside because
he really wants you to kill that kid, man.
Coach Stoops, that was the attitude. We were his troops. And when he directed us to do something and we didn't do it, we were in trouble. And it was the same thing because he gave that same type of leadership to every one of his players out there that's on the field. And he said, hey, you direct them when you're out there on the field. You're my safety. You line everybody up and you go. If you don't line everybody up, you messing up. And I'm just like, wow, that's a pretty big honor. But to this day, if I call Coach Stoops, it's such a remarkable thing to hear him because it still drives me today hearing Coach Stoops and Coach Spurrier in my head telling me that people are watching me and I have to do certain things and I got to make sure that I'm being a great leader. I got to make sure that I'm doing the right things. I got to make sure that I'm prompt. I got to make sure I'm on time. those are things that are really, really small, but they make such a big impact with everything and everybody. So I try to make sure that whatever I'm doing, I'm going to resemble what it is that Coach Deuce and Coach Spurrier put into.
You got drafted third round by the Patriots. Leading up to the draft, what was the vibes like, and how many new cousins you got?
Oh my goodness, I'm still getting cousins to this day. It was such an outstanding deal because I literally started getting calls probably after the 15th pick, and I started getting calls to the phone and people wanting to, okay, on our next pick we're going to take you. On our next pick we're going to take you. What people don't tell you is that when they're going through the war room and they're on the board and they're talking about all these different things, there was this thing that the one thing that held me back was that I was a diabetic. So it was, here I am going to be a liability to a lot of these teams, and they're looking at all these things. And I seen a couple of safeties and a couple of corners go back before me. Like, I saw the Fernando Bryan, who I knew that he was going to go before. And then I started seeing some of these other guys go, and these other guys, and I'm like, man, you keep calling, but you're saying like Dallas called, Pittsburgh called, Atlanta called, and I'm like, all right, cool, somebody's got to take me. And then it's getting close to the end of the third round, and I'm like, oh, crud. I got all these people over at my house. I probably got 200 to 300 people over at my mom and dad's house, and we had this big barbecue. Got the whole coda section closed off. I literally
all the cousins over there, boy.
Yes, 100%. I literally had to get in my car and drive off. I didn't actually see myself get drafted.
Tony, so you get drafted by the Patriots and then you ultimately end up in NFL Europe. What was that experience like for you? I mean, beyond just playing there, the cultural piece as well.
I think he's froze, Dan.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he was even finished answering. It's all good, man. This is great. I'm enjoying this conversation. It's dope shit.
Everybody there?
Froze.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay.
You at Dan house?
Everyone still there?
You're an idiot. Sorry, you cut off when you said you didn't even get drafted. You didn't hear yourself get drafted.
All right. Is everybody still there?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. But yeah, I've had all these people that were there, and it was interesting because I tried to, in so many ways, I was trying to just get that moment where I didn't want to be around anybody, I didn't want to see anybody, I didn't want to disappoint anyone. Right. And all of a sudden, the 91st pick came, and all these calls were coming through my phone. I couldn't answer. I was answering one call, and by the time somebody was calling on the other end, my mother called, my dad called, my grandmother called, my neighbor called. And by the time I got back home and pulled up, I was talking to the New England Patriots on the phone, so I really couldn't greet anybody because I was talking to them on the phone. And as I'm talking to them, I'm crying and everything else. And they're like, well, we want you to come up, but just take your time and go spend some time with your family. You are a New England Patriot. And I'm like, how did I go to New England Patriots? I said, they weren't even on the board. And they moved up to go and get you. Pete Carroll went and got you. I was like, oh, wow, that was amazing. I said, so that's my draft story and things of that nature. But I tell you, I'm thoroughly blessed to have lived through that moment and gotten me to the point where I am now. I'm just so thankful to be able to have to experience that.
I love it. Tony, I want to ask you a quick question about NFL Europe because we don't get a lot of guys that were on the pod that played in NFL Europe. What was that experience like for you culturally and just going over to Frankfurt?
Uh-oh. Let's see if I can hear you guys. I hear you guys now. See if I can unmute you guys.
Can you hear us?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear us?
Let's see if
there we go.
You guys on here.
Technology is up 3-0 in the finals, Tony.
This time it's not me. Oh, we lost him.
I'm sure he'll hop back in.
Yeah.
Still got me there. Technology's up 3-0. Gotta come back.
You gotta come back, man.
Hey, we gotta keep shooting.
It's the only way to get out of the slump.
Gotta keep shooting.
Yeah, there he is.
Sorry about that, guys. There we
No,
go,
you're
man.
good,
You're
dude.
good. You're good.
What was it like playing over in Frankfurt?
Man, that was outstanding. That experience was I understand what true fanship is because they're not big on American football over there. But I understood what true fanship was all about by playing over there for the short season. The Frankfurt Galaxy fans were probably the most dedicated fans I had ever seen in my life. I've been around the Gators. These guys would wait hours in the lobby for an autograph, like hours. Like I'm telling you, I would go to bed at probably 11 o'clock. When I wake up in the morning, that same crew is sitting there blowing their whistles, blah, 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 Galaxy. And I'm like, my God, they are really. I said, did y'all even go home? No, we did not go home. We are excited to be Frankfurt Galaxy. And I'm like, my gosh, I'd never seen anything like that. But that was such a huge joy for me. We got our diehard Gator fans, and then they see you, they speak to you, but they'll leave you alone. Not these guys. They're gonna camp out in the hotel where you at. So
it's funny because I heard I'm forgetting the best Marbury who said something similar about the fans in China. Like foreign fans, they give it up.
Yeah.
They give up a lot of energy.
They do, and it's when I tell you it's noteworthy, man. It's beyond that. It makes you feel like what it is that you're doing to provide that bit of joy for them. It is so worth it. You know, I think a lot of times, especially when we're over here, the world of professionalism it's just entertainment. Right. Over there, it's truly a lifestyle, and it becomes a part of their life. You are that true household name that has done something so great and miraculous that you've changed their life to go ahead and continue with what it is that they're doing to be a great people to their society. You can't. It can't be duplicated. But I tell you one thing, we're pretty close down there with them Gators.
Tony, I know that you've got to run, so I want to be cognizant of your time. I guess my final question is now. After your playing career, you got into. I know you got your doctorate in divinity, so congratulations there. And I know you own a gym. But
thank you.
Talk to Gator fans about what you're up to now.
Well, guys, you'll be on the lookout because I'm doing something that is that's going to be very much life changing here for a lot of our athletes. I am in the process now of creating a chip that goes into your shoe that helps to prevent ankle injuries. There's an air bubble that comes out and deploys into your shoe that will roll just like an airbag deploys. So I am in the process of doing that wonderful thing. I am also working with my nonprofit, which is Trinity X Pharmacy, which we are providing rehabilitative form that provides injury against that provides covenants for against traumatic injury of the brain. So a lot of my NFL buddies.
What is that again?
So we're going to be providing it's a rehabilitation form that will help people with traumatic injuries. Primarily right now we're dealing with the body and the brain with a lot of my former NFL buddies. And we are creating these things to be safe havens and rehabilitation programs for these guys to have a better livelihood once they're done playing in their career. So we're keeping up with trying to get all these wonderful things done. But yeah, we have solidified the patent and all those things. I'm also creating a CBD / relief patch that is also underneath the patent. That we're going to be able to put a patch on to relieve some of these guys' aches and pains once they're done playing in a safe and effective way.
That's incredible. Like real talk. That's dope. I had a traumatic brain injury. I still deal with some of the after effects from it. So when I hear the lingo and the dialogue around it, I know what's going on a little bit. So it sparked my interest. That's dope, sir. Tony. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us, man.
Absolutely, man. Check me out. You can look at my website, man. www.trinityxpharmacy, pharmacy spelled FARMACY.org. So check me out, man. You guys go out there and take a look. Leave me a message, and I'll get right back to you, man. Me or somebody on my team will get in touch with you guys, and we'll make it happen, man. But y'all know how we do, man. That's what we Gators are all about, man. Go Gators, man. And we about to shake the world up a little bit.
I love it. Well, Tony, have a great.
Tony's walking us straight to the spot right now.
I'm not sure if you guys can see this gym, but that's clean.
That's one of my babies right there, man. She gets it early. She's one of my warriors right there, man. And then I got a whole nother crew of them over there. They all lined up, ready to get that work over there. You know,
what's up?
So yeah, I gotta catch them when they're young, man. I gotta get them, get them, put that good work ethic into them early. So at least I know the hamburgers will be cooked, the right way. You know what I mean? We're gonna put that work in the right way.
Can't blame anybody else.
We losing recipes, Tony.
Yeah, we losing recipes, but that's what I told them. I said I'm gonna make sure they know how to cook it up the right way.
Right.
I love it. Well, Tony, we appreciate you coming on. We'll chat with you soon and go Gators.
All right, guys, go Gators, man. See you later.
Appreciate it, Tony.
Yes, sir.
All right, Tony George, a legend for Florida Gator fans, especially from that 95 to 98 class. I want to chop it up a little bit more about that interview, but we got our next guest waiting. This is Nick's content. He's excited for this. I know that he's pumped. But before we do that, let's give a shout out to our friends over at Game Time Sidekicks. Go check them out. Nick's been drinking from the cup all day, but go visit them. Vacuum sealed cups, just a beautiful product. GameTimeSidekicks.com. Use promo code Stadium, get 10% off. 350 some odd colleges and schools that you can choose from. A bunch from the NFL. They're going to be doing some NIL stuff, but go check them out. GameTimeSidekicks.com. Use promo code Stadium, get 10% off. And we welcome none other than one of the most illustrious kickers in Florida Gator history, Caleb Sturgis. How you doing tonight?
Caleb, what it do, baby?
What's going on? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Caleb, my friend, it's a pleasure to chat with you. I know that a lot of people have asked for you to come on. I know that we've been chatting a lot, just trying to make schedules work, but glad to have you. Caleb, man, we don't get a lot of kickers to come on, so super excited to get to know you a little bit more here. Caleb, I know you grew up in St. Augustine, grew up around the Gators and everything else, but what ultimately decided, that University of Florida in Gainesville will be the place that you're going to be?
Yeah, I just grew up a huge Gator fan. Obviously growing up during the Spurrier years. I think I was 7-8 years old during the first national championship. My mom went to the University of Florida, so just growing up a huge Gator fan. If Florida offered me, I was going there. And then it didn't hurt at all that, Urban Meyer comes into town, wins the national championship in year 2, which is 2 years before, I got there in 2008. So just kind of everything aligned perfectly where there really wasn't a decision after they offered me.
Caleb, first year coming to University of Florida, you obviously you're a star kicker, you're a place kicker, but most schools only have one kicker, on scholarship at least, and there's a lot of pressure on you. How do you go from kicking in high school, where obviously it matters a lot, but in playing soccer, but going to University of Florida your freshman year, University of Florida is odds-on favorite to win national championship. What goes through your mind the first time you trot out in a Gator uniform, going to kick a field goal?
Yeah, it's a surreal feeling for sure. The biggest difference really is just the expectations are so much different. You go to a high school football game, you don't expect the kicker to be very good. So, in high school, you're just this huge asset, right? You're so much different than all the other guys on the field. You get to college and you're expected to go make kicks, at a real high level. Obviously, it goes up a little bit more in the NFL. But especially during those times, we had so many star players there. Tebow's coming off a Heisman Trophy the year before. 2 years ago, we'd won a national championship. We have Percy Harvin on the team, 20, 30 NFL guys on the team. So expectations were just so high. There's definitely a lot of pressure coming in as a freshman, having to produce. And ultimately, I didn't win the starting job when I came in. Jonathan Phillips put together a really good season in 2008. So I only did the kickoffs that year, and I really wasn't as prepared as I would have liked to be coming in that first year, and taught me a lot of lessons both that year and life in general of just, you can't just assume when you're recruited highly and people tell you certain things. You can't just go in and assume it's going to happen. You have to put in the work.
I think the ring is still the same though, Caleb. Even if Jonathan Phillips was kicking the field goals, I don't think the ring is different for a championship.
Yeah, I hit a few kickoffs down in Miami, so I like to believe I was a small contributor.
What's that like for you? Just getting into that locker room the first time with some of the guys that you named. I mean, some larger than life, characters, especially for Gator fans. The Tebow, Spikes, Harvin. What's it like just for a freshman kind of walking into that locker room? What was, I guess, the culture that you walked into, and was it maybe like a shell shock, culture shock when you first got to Florida?
It definitely was a little bit. I had some familiar faces. I played with Brandon James in high school. I definitely want to talk about him a little more in special teams. And he was a huge part, obviously, in that 06 championship and beyond. But yeah, it was kind of tough. There's a little bit of kind of the fan in you still, and these are the guys just a few years ago that I watch as my idols and all. And now I'm one of them. It took a little while to get used to that, for sure.
Well, what's that locker room like? I mean, obviously you have a lot of alpha personalities, there you have a lot of guys that have established themselves. I mean, we just named a few of them. What's it like, to try to balance, creating friendships, being a teammate? I mean, you're coming into a group that, is obviously, very tight and very connected, but what's it like, I guess, for all intents and purposes, like trying to fit into that group, if that makes sense?
Yeah. And especially as a kicker, because, I kind of explained it, you're almost like a golfer that's on a team. So there's a lot of individual work that goes in that's separate from the team, but at the same part, you want to be a part of the team too. And a lot of that happened kind of in the weight room and doing conditioning, things like that we do together as a team. But yeah, as you said, there are a lot of alpha males on that team. Specifically think of just the Pouncey brothers and the leaders,
including yourself, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and Chaz Henry. Yeah,
Caleb, I trust your opinion, Caleb. Real quick, who had the best hands in that alpha locker room? It's filled up.
Oh, it was definitely Percy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So I've heard.
We've heard the stories.
Oh yeah, I mean he's just a guy. There's certain people that are just great athletes. My brother was a MLS.
When I say hands, I'm not talking about catching passes, Caleb.
Oh, I know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was just saying, if he would have become a boxer,
right, yeah.
You would have been paying for his match, especially on HBO. So it's just, whatever he decided to do, he would have done at a super high level. He's just one of those guys.
That's what's up.
Caleb, we've had a couple of kickers, and they've got some stories about just, times, because you do, like, you mentioned you guys were on that third field, furthest away from the fans, but kind of doing your own thing, a lot of the time. What are some stories that you have from kind of you guys being separated from the team and at times just kind of being on your own and, expected to just kick the ball?
Yeah, it's funny. I was with kind of a few different generations of specialists. But it is, man, college practices just go on forever, and we've got to be out there the entire time. That was one nice thing about the NFL, specifically when I was in Philadelphia. We would go out and we would do our, 3 or 4 periods of special teams. Then we could go inside and get our lift in or do something somewhat productive. But in college, we had to be out there the whole time. And, we'd usually do field goal period 1, punt period 2, and then we'd be done for the day. So we'd have about 2 hours and 45 minutes to kill. And again, we come out pre-practice and get the majority of the work done because we'd want to perform well in those first 2 periods. That's when it really mattered. It's when you were adjudged. So, and we came up with so many just like one-off games. At one point, we were playing 5-on-5, touch football. We play from the 5-yard line and, make it, take it scoring. Just a lot of funny games too. And it's one of those things too, when we were performing well, everybody looked over and were like, oh, that's kind of cool. Glad they're having a good time. But if you struggle with 1 or 2 games, they looked over, and it's kind of like scene from Step Brothers, I think it is, when they're interviewing for the job. Then it's kind of messed up if you guys are over there messing around, you're messing up in games.
You miss a couple field goals, and it's not cool to show up to the job interview in a tux anymore.
Exactly.
Right.
No longer trying to figure out the Pam situation. I'm curious to know, I mean, you mentioned Jonathan Phillips, and that's my bad. I completely forgot about that. But Jonathan Phillips, he has that spot. You're trying to vie for that spot, knowing that yes, you handled kickoffs and you boom the ball, but what's that like from a relationship perspective, knowing that really, only one kicker is probably getting a majority of the, field goal and PATs and often kickoffs. What is that like, trying to, separate, friendship, off the field with the competition, on the field?
Yeah. So, college and then really in the NFL is where it really kicked in general of being those dynamics. And the way I always try to separate the person from the situation, and, they didn't choose that situation. When Cody and I were competing in Philadelphia or something like that, we didn't choose, to battle against each other. We were friends beforehand. We're friends now, we're friends during it. Ultimately, it came down to how many kicks I made. So, I didn't put too much into what he was doing. It was, I had to be good enough. And at the end of the day, if I beat him out and still was not making many kicks, it would still be a miserable situation. So you really just focus on yourself at that standpoint and trying to be the best you can be. And then really beyond that of, I want to be one of the best in the SEC or one of the best in the country. So always try to make that my focus, and then whoever starts will take care of itself.
What's your you walking up for a pressure kick, big kick? What's your process mentally?
Yeah, just to treat every kick the exact same, and I compare it a lot to golf too, right? If you're able to go out on the range and hit every ball down the middle, you go out on the first tee, and your friend says, "Hey, let's play for $100." You're not nervous hitting that first tee shot. If you're spraying it all around the range and you go out there on that first tee and he says that, you're just not as comfortable out there. So for me, it really started with the process in practice and throughout the week of, just making sure that my mechanics are sound.
You feel different. You feel different from a regular kick and then a big time kick. The stadiums feels different. The energy you feel different.
There's definitely a little bit more going on. I mean, you're human. Your heartbeat's going a little more. So you just take an extra breath or two, try to get the heart rate back down. Make sure you don't take big steps going back or something different than what you usually do.
Right.
And then it's really kind of an out of body experience out there because you're getting your kickoff in 1.3 seconds. So a lot of times you barely remember what happened in that amount of time. You really just let the repetition take over. So for me, it never felt that much different, and specifically too, just for kicking in general, you're so much judged by numbers and not necessarily based on one kick. You can be ultimately, but for the most part, if you look over 10 years, you look at a overall percentage and not necessarily that one kick. So for me, it was always just trying to treat everyone the same.
Yeah, you don't get a breakfast ball in Atlanta. You might get a breakfast ball from your friends on the first tee, but SEC championship.
No mulligans.
Yeah, all you have to do is call mulligan and just redo it.
I wasn't ready for that one. I would like another chance. Yeah, sure, no problem.
Hey, shout out to Jonathan Phillips too. That's a 5'6" boy, man.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. What I wonder what do you think maybe is the most like you said, kickers are really judged just on numbers, and most fans wouldn't even have to watch what a kicker does. You're just like, hey, here's the stat sheet, and they'll make up their mind. What do you think is maybe something that gets lost on fans when you're trying to judge kickers and punters?
That's interesting. I think kicking in general, that's funny. I think there's so many analytics that go into football now, and you have all these Harvard guys now, and one off of the general manager and these NFL teams, and they might not know what it means when a guard pulls or something like that, but they're making decisions on the offensive line and stuff like that. And it's funny with kicking, there's just your percentage, but I think a lot of times a lot gets lost in if a ball goes in or not. So I always like to bring up this example. In the NFL, if you go 18 for 20, you're 90% and you're about to sign a big contract. If you go 16 for 20, then, you're 80% and you're just about out of the league. But those two kickers, one that's 80%, one that's 90%, 16 to 20 or 18 for 20, both of them could have hit uprights 2 times in the year. The guy that hits it 2 times and they both go in, goes 90%, signs a big deal. The guy that hits 2 uprights and it misses, he might be out of the league, even though they're really the same guy. So I think that can get lost a lot. And, I think I might be talking a little bit early here on, a subject we might bring up later. But I think that's the biggest difference when you compare someone like Evan McPherson versus Roberto Aguayo, is if you go back to their college film and you watch the balls they hit, I just think Evans are so much more impressive with how many times Evan hit the middle of the uprights and the rotation he had on the ball. Even if you judge like a 25-yarder of just, that ball would have still been good from 55 versus his may have, leaked out.
Right. You showing me how to watch kicker film.
Breaking it down for you. So
For sure. Now I know how to draft my kickers and to watch kicker film, bro. Perfect. If they close to the upright, we don't need them. I don't care if it go through. I don't like how close to the upright it was. You feel me?
Yeah, he might have one good year, but is he going to have 10 for you?
Right.
That's something that I've always noticed. Like you think, oh, it's a chip shot 25, and like you might not need to, as a kicker, you might not need to go out there and like actually try. Like I can make this. You could probably make that still with your eyes closed just from feel. But then you watch someone, and you're like, oh, he kicked that. They don't have in the south end zone. They don't have the net there. It's like, oh, he kicked that into the like 17th row. He didn't really need to do that. But it's just like taking that same stroke and that same approach, whether it's 56 or 25.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you saw it big time in the NFL when he went from 20 yards to 33. Everybody was making it from 20 yards, but then at 33, those guys got exposed with that extra 13 yards.
Yeah,
every time I watch an extra point now in the NFL, I'm like, that's far. That's not like extra anymore. Or they made it extra.
Right. Yeah. You can't mishit it anymore. You can get away with your B ball, but your C ball might not make it anymore.
Hey, Caleb, I've got a question, and this is probably a very dumb question. Usually we save those for Nick, but why do most kickers line up on the left hash compared to like lining up in the middle?
Yeah, so most guys are most comfortable doing that because the majority of right-footed kickers have a little bit of a draw. It's very subtle, but in their mind they can say, hey, if I start this inside the right upright, I'll never miss. So you're trying to take away one miss by doing that. Versus in the middle of the field, you might have, you might miss the majority of the time left, or if you try to play it a little bit right, you might miss it a little bit on the right side. And there's other guys too. One of my best friends is Cairo Santos, and he lines up on the right hash because he says, if I start it on the right, just inside the right upright, my ball will never miss, right? Because my ball never moves left to right. So it's all just preference on kind of how guys feel their ball movement is going to be, and then how much they're able to control that.
Sounds like me on a tee box trying to play my slice. Like, you know what? I've always sliced. Definitely going to do it. And immediately as I say that, there's my first duck hook of the day.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's if you line up on the left hash and have that in mind, then you start outside the left upright, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. That's for sure.
I had a question kind of just about college and Florida fans with the new staff being built out. They were talking about special teams coaches and special teams coordinators. But it's always been my understanding that like the special teams coordinator isn't really like the guy working with you the most. Like you'll have an off the field staffer. In your experience, when you were at Florida, who was the guy that kind of worked with you guys the most? Everyone knows like Urban was big on special teams, but I don't think he was helping you with your kicking stroke.
No, we never had a guy like that. In all my time playing in the NFL as well, we never had kind of a kicking, punting, long snapping specific guy where, we were probably, if anybody on staff tried to give us advice of what we were doing would be, like if a college golfer was to tell, anybody on the PGA tour, what they're doing type thing. of just, and I'm just saying kicking specific, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying, coverage, stuff like that. Yeah, they know everything there.
Sure.
But the majority of special teams coordinators, they never did one of the three, and they know, the ones that try to say something probably know just enough to be dangerous. The majority of it's just going to be, if you miss a kick, it's going to be like, hey, keep your head down or something like that. But it's becoming much more prevalent. I know, last year we had Shane Graham here.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Titans have Will Hoyt from Tennessee. The Ravens have had Randy Brown for a really long time. Obviously, is it the chicken or the egg? Is it because they have him, or is it because Justin Tucker is just the best to ever block? It's becoming more prevalent. I don't know what the data says on if the specialists do better in those places besides Baltimore.
But yeah, like you said, I think I would be a great special teams coach if Justin Tucker was my kicker.
Right, exactly. It was the same thing, right, with Adam Gase and Peyton Manning. Was it Adam Gase afterwards?
No. A couple of Dolphins.
As a Dolphins fan,
here. Sure wasn't him.
No,
it wasn't Adam.
Caleb, want to touch you a little bit about your time in the NFL. You played for the Dolphins for a bit, then you go over to the Eagles, and then you finish your career with the Chargers. What was that experience like? I mean, touch us a little bit about the ups and downs of the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, you're playing a game for a living, and there's nothing that compares to that. It's a childhood dream, so to get actually live it, to get to play in the state of Florida was pretty amazing. I didn't know too much about Philadelphia, but man, I think now that's definitely the best division in football. It compares so much to the SEC with the fan bases, what they put into it every weekend, and how much it matters during the week, how the talk radio, everything like that is just so similar. I had a really good time playing. I don't even know if I'd call it a regret, or one thing that I wish was a little bit different, that I just dealt with injuries my entire time playing. I hurt myself junior year at Florida, and I hurt my back pretty bad. And just ever since then, kind of dealt with a lot of soft tissue injuries in the NFL, and just never felt like I was ever myself. I'm playing, fighting those rather than trying to make kicks. So that's kind of the tougher part about it. And especially doing that too, because I always felt, it was kind of a week-to-week contract type thing. So I only ever had guaranteed money pretty much when I was in LA in my last year. And so the stresses of kind of playing every week to keep your job is definitely the tougher part about the game.
It is tough. It's like there's only 32 jobs. Like there's hundreds of wide receiver jobs, and then wide receiver jobs also you can make the team just by playing special teams. But punters and kickers, there's not many teams carry two.
Right.
So there's really 32 jobs, and like you said, the difference of being employed versus being unemployed is the ball. An oblong-shaped, air-filled leather pocket hitting an upright and bouncing a certain way.
Yeah, exactly. And, again, it's such a tough balance too when you are injured, because it's, the second you let someone else come in and they play well, you never know if you're getting back in type thing. And obviously I got hurt when I was in Philadelphia, and Jake Elliott comes in, he's top 5 kicker ever since. So it's just, it's one of those things, the constantly battle of, do you try to really let yourself heal, or do you play injured to try to keep the guy out of the building?
Caleb, want to ask you, because I don't think I've asked this question to an Eagle player. What's it like playing in Philadelphia? I mean, as a Miami fan, grew up a fan. We have a rowdy fan base down there in Miami, but not really anything in comparison to Philadelphia. What was it like, being, in the throes of probably the most raucous fan base in the NFL?
It was insane. It's funny. I got off to a really bad start there. So I came in. Cody got hurt after the third. So he's coming off a Pro Bowl year. He got hurt, I think, week 3 of the season. We're playing Washington week 4, I think it was. And the game, it was our bye week, I think, was the next week, and there's a hurricane coming through. I think it was one that actually hit Gainesville pretty hard. I can't remember the name of it. So it would have been 2015. And, they were talking about whether or not they were going to cancel our game and we're going to play it on our bye week, and nobody wanted to do that and all that. And we ended up playing it. So it's pretty windy and all that. I'm making a lot of excuses. It didn't end up being that bad during the game, but I missed my first field goal and first extra point there. And again, just going back to, for a lot of guys, you're kind of one and done when you do that. So, the talk radio, everything like that, the fan bases, the beat writers and everything. I mean, they're all over you after week one. And ever since that game, I have by far my best year finishing that year. And then 2016, the year after, played well. But it's just kind of funny and fun to see it on both sides of, man, that fan base will get after you if you play poorly. But at the same time, too, when you're playing well, I mean, nobody gets behind you more than the Eagles. And the big difference between, say, the Dolphins and playing the Dolphins or playing for the Eagles is what was that?
I said a Super Bowl, but anyway.
Well, yeah, recently. But in Miami, Tannehill wasn't that big of a deal when I was there. The very few Dolphins players were. I know Marino obviously was, but it's tough to be a big name in Miami as a football player. Where when I was in Philadelphia, I mean, Carson Wentz, Joel Embiid were the biggest, names in that city. They were everything.
And Joel wasn't even playing. He was like drafted, hurt, and still the biggest thing in the city. He's just watching.
Still not, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just crazy how much emphasis they put into their sports there. Now all of the the football, basketball, hockey, and baseball are all in one spot. There's just so much, so much of the culture and everything there revolves around the sports teams.
Caleb, blink twice because I hear so many people who have played in Philadelphia say that, like, they'll get on you, but nobody loves you like they do. It feels like you guys are almost like traumatized because they are so harsh, and you're just like, I have to follow up any.
They threw snowballs at Santa Claus, fans.
They did help Santa with snowballs, but it almost feels like if I say something bad, I need to follow it up with this nice thing, or else they know where I live and they might be outside the door soon.
No, I mean it's crazy the way they turn out. I'm completely blanking on the baseball. I'm not the biggest baseball fan, but I mean he was a great player for the Phillies during the championship run.
What was it, Ryan Howard?
Ryan Howard. So when I was there,
it turned on Ryan Howard's ass real quick.
Right.
Well, pause.
Yeah.
They got Ryan Howard they got him out of the whole MLB, but he was an MVP.
Right. So right when I was starting there was when they were throwing batteries at him in the outfield. So that was kind of like my welcome to Philly moment. And then I go out and miss a few kicks. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen when I go out there for my first home game.
You're just hoping they're triple A's and not double A's or D batteries.
Yeah, D batteries. Ooh.
Yeah, don't throw it. You miss a game winner, they're going to throw a car battery at you.
Yeah. But I explained a lot, like kind of every team I've ever played for too, on how they view the coaching staff, right? So if you play a lot and you do well, everybody raves about how great the coach is. And then the guys that, recruited real high and come in and don't play, then, there's a really bad culture and a bad coaching staff. So I think it's very similar in the fan base there.
Hey, Caleb, how did you get into kicking? Did you play soccer?
I did, yeah. So, sorry, my daughter's. Hey.
That's all good, man.
Kimberly.
I know the vibes. These boys not going raw, so they don't know what's up like that, Caleb. But I know what's up.
You're good. That's true.
My two girls came in.
That's it. We have dad moments on the show. Corey's the only dad on the show.
Yeah, but Nick has a couple dogs and all that, so
yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all good, man.
So how did I get into kicking? I was a big soccer player. I'm one of 6 kids. My oldest sister went on and played soccer at William and Mary. Oldest brother played at Flagler. My next brother, he left home when he was 15 and went down in Bradenton and played on the under-17 national team, and played 11 years in the MLS. And I was 2 years younger than him.
Oh, out here a little bit, boy. Y'all dad like the white Lavar ball, bro. Y'all balling, dog. I had no idea.
No, it's funny because my oldest brother was, he's kind of short. I mean, he's my height now and all, but not a big frame or anything. My dad's like, I don't know what sports we're gonna do. He's probably not gonna be a great basketball player. Probably not big enough for football. So
your dad's getting him a job. He's like, hey, you're gonna start bagging groceries at Publix at 12. Right. We don't know if you've got the athlete frame like everyone else.
Right. So he's like, well, we should try out soccer, and it's funny. We all took to it really well, but except for me. So I was a good soccer player. I probably could have played small Division I, real small Division I. But I watched my older brother, who's 2 years older than me. He went and played in the under-17s. He started for them, so he's really probably top 11 player in the country at the time. And he always wanted to go to UNC, but they only offered him 75% scholarship. And I'm one of 6 kids, so there's no college fund for us or anything like that. And so he ended up going to Clemson instead. And I remember watching that and just being like, man, he's one of the best players I've ever seen. And he can't go wherever he wants to go playing soccer. What's going to happen to me? And at the same time, I had just started at St. Augustine High School. Again, that's where Brandon James, Jacquez Rickerson were at the time. I knew we were going to have a really good team that year. And so going into my sophomore year, the coach asked if I wanted to start kicking. And I was like, I don't know if I really want to do this, but we'll probably win a state championship. So I'll give it a try.
Caleb, I want to ask you again, dumb question, but how different, I mean, obviously it's very different. How different is it? How much, I guess, mental training does it take to get used to kicking a football compared to like a soccer ball?
Yeah, I'd say anybody that's a real good soccer player, has a decent sized frame, that's pretty athletic, can do it at a pretty high level. I think if you took a bunch of 20-year-olds that are in the Premier League right now, and they started kicking a football, they could probably make it to the NFL within 4 or 5 years type thing. So is it, I don't think it's like overly complicated to make the switch. Now, you do have to have a little bit different of a mentality, similar to golf in the sense that, there's a lot of guys that can hit a ball 350 yards and they can shape the ball a ton of ways, but can they do it for 4 days in a tough environment? So there is that aspect of it for sure. But as far as, being able to, if you're a good soccer player, I think you should be able to kick a football pretty well.
I want to know, you played in some great locations. I've never been to Colorado. I've never been to California, but I've heard great things about San Diego. I'm from South Florida, and I've been to Philadelphia, not in the winter. Where is the best place to live of those 3?
Yeah, well, you would definitely know that I was that I was just sucking up to the Philly fans if I said Philadelphia.
Yeah. So jigs up then.
Man, see, I've been trying to get you to talk crap about Philadelphia, and I was like, maybe this is my way in. I was just trying to sneak around it.
No, Southern California though is special. I never got it. I was like, I don't understand how anybody pays 50% in taxes and lives out there. Like, that's just crazy to me. And then I went out there and I was like, you know what? If they didn't charge as much to live out here, everybody would do it. I mean, it's beautiful out there. It doesn't get as hot. It doesn't rain as much. It's kind of all the great things about Florida, but year round versus the, I guess June through September in Gainesville.
Caleb, I got to ask you another question about Philadelphia in a hot league.
Oh, wait, don't let him off the hook. So we had a 1, 2, 3 there. It was clearly San Diego was 1.
1, 2, 3.
I think we know your order.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I love Florida, so Miami would be 2 and Philly would be 3. But I will say this: I enjoyed camp in Philadelphia probably the most because it was, we'd get some real nice days in August in Philadelphia versus it was real hot in Miami.
Yeah, camp in Miami is either like hot or raining.
Right.
You're like hoping to be in the bubble is what you're doing.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Nice little 68, 70 degrees in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just had Tony George on, so we had to unfortunately listen to some Cincinnati food takes. But there's some good food in Philadelphia. Obviously they're known for their cheesesteaks and everything else. I got to get you on record of, obviously it's not Pat or Gino's, but what was the top cheesesteak place of Caleb Sturgis?
Oh man, so this is tough to say, but I actually have celiac disease.
Oh man.
So
great question, Dan.
So if you can't do the bread, I don't think I can give a accurate
it's true
representation. But the food and
you can't eat bread, bro.
Unless it's gluten free.
Oh, okay, gluten free. Yeah, do gluten free. That's how my niece is like that. So we had to eat gluten free pizza for New Year's and whatnot.
Yeah. It's a lot of times it's kind of like cardboard with the toppings on it, but it's still decent. But
I'm vegan, so all my pizza tastes like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. If you do the gluten-free crust and the vegan cheese,
or pescatarian, whatever. Yeah, my bad, man. What were we talking about?
We were talking about cheesesteaks, but yeah, obviously I appreciate.
Yeah, he'll eat cheesesteak.
Yeah, I appreciate you throwing the other pivot in there.
Well, Philly food was the best out of the three of them.
Yeah,
I'll give it that. I mean, that's the thing about Philadelphia too, though. The first time I ever went there, I was like, man, this is just an old, dirty city. I did not like it. And then you live there, you get to know the people, and again the food and everything. It's awesome. I really like downtown, and there's so much history there too that you can really take in. I'd probably never live there permanently after coming from Florida, but I was really glad I got to spend a few years there.
Yeah. So yeah, Center City and all that ain't bad. What are you doing now, Caleb?
I actually just started a job with Amazon a few weeks ago.
Oh, nice, bro.
Yeah.
Next in line for Jeff Bezos.
Amazon, them people they know they work with a goat. You tell them and shit like, yo, bro, I'm one of the greatest. Like, you have no idea, but I'm one of the greatest fucking kickers of all time, man. At Florida, you ever tell them that?
Yeah, I've been trying to let them know. I've been trying to.
Always like Caleb Sturgis, world class kicker.
Yeah, like hey, you can't wear that Letterman jacket into work anymore. God, listen, it was cold. Right. It was cold. I had to put something on.
Well, I work remote, but anytime I'm in an important meeting, I put it on.
Yeah,
you gotta let them know.
All American
in the Zoom like this with a couple rings on. Like, hey guys, yeah,
exactly.
Oh man, well, are you back in Florida or?
I am. I'm in Gainesville actually.
Oh man, okay. Well, welcome back, Caleb, my friend. It's a pleasure.
They know who you is, then, bro. You ain't gotta say nothing.
Yeah,
these young kids or something, but shout out to that, man. I gotta link up with you next time I'm in Gainesville or something. At a game or something.
Definitely, Corey. Yeah, I'd love that. Love to meet up with all you guys at the next game.
I got a question. Caleb. I'm in Gainesville. What is you and the wife? Nice night out. No kids. Where do you take the wife for a nice dinner?
Man, that's tough. I mean, probably my go-to and location helps with it is probably Embers.
Yes,
you just wanted to cover.
I'm working on getting a sponsor, but it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
I talk them up so much.
Yeah,
it would make no sense for them to like give me anything for free. Like I'm already doing the advertising for it.
But there's it's nice though. There's so many new restaurants that have opened recently too that we have so many choice because it was pretty much between just Embers and Mark's is all you had. Now, Spurrier's and Prime and Pearl and everything. It's Gainesville's definitely looking up.
Prime and Pearl. I haven't been on that one yet.
Prime and Pearl's new in celebration. I still think Embers is my go-to. Prime and Pearl's good though. I have like a 60-day aged steak there, which is really good.
Well, there's something about Embers about the size.
60-day aged steak.
Aged 60 days.
I wonder what
aged.
happens between days like 30 and day 60.
I don't know. I think it was wet aged. It was wet aged for 30 days and then dry aged for 30. It was delicious.
Wow, I don't know nothing about life. Bro.
Listen, Silk, you're eating
a lot's
tofu.
changed
No one's
since you
asking.
stopped eating meat, Silk.
Yeah, we're not asking you about your meat takes over there, Mr. Pescatarian. Pause on that. My bad. Pause. But yeah, Prime and Pearl is good. The Gainesville food scene has definitely gotten better since you were in college, for sure. It's even gotten better in the 9 years that I've been here with new stuff opening up.
Yeah, it seems like
Go ahead, Caleb.
Just every year there's something else. Valley Views used to be the place to go when I was in college. I actually went the other night for the first time in like 7-8 years. It's still pretty solid.
How's Tim Tebow? Is he still hanging out there?
I do remember when they put that there. I think he's still there.
I haven't been to Ballyhoo's in a while. So they have someone, I think it was probably like right around the national championship.
It was.
They made a wood carving of Tim Tebow that's outside of Ballyhoo's. So I've called it Tim Tebow.
Termites haven't got him yet.
Haven't gotten to him yet.
Man, oh
He's
man.
been there a while.
Caleb, man, we appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us tonight. Like I said, you were a very frequently requested guest. So know you're on social media. I know you don't post a lot, but for everybody that wants to follow you, remind everybody where they can follow you on Twitter and everything else.
Yeah, I think I only have a Twitter. I believe it's Caleb Sturgis 1. But yeah, I'll try to start posting a little bit more. I've not been great about that. I had to watch out for some of those Philly fans, but I think I'm far enough removed now.
Yeah, now you in good graces now, man, after today.
Awesome, man.
We need to get a Stadium and Gale Embers dinner next time everyone's in town.
Absolutely.
For sure. Yeah, let's make that happen.
I'm there.
Yeah, it's the same.
Silk's got the bill. You're in, Caleb.
It might be on me. I'm having a good month, Nick. It might be, bro. Things are trending kind of crazy, dog. Hey,
That's
Caleb,
fine.
man, appreciate you for hanging out with us, bro.
So, yeah, I really appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it. We'll
Caleb.
talk to you soon, brother.
Have a good one.
Yeah, it'll be on the Roll Up Network for sure. I got it.
Yeah.
Caleb Sturgis, man, good dude. Really enjoyed that. Enjoyed him and Tony George.
Great conversations, man. I forgot we got to talk about recruiting. We still got a lot more content to give the folks.
Yeah,
man,
we got a lot of stuff to get.
Well, we're sitting here an hour and a half in, and I'm like, shoot, we haven't even talked about what's going on with the current team.
Yeah, I mean,
this ain't work, man. That felt good. I don't feel like we did, shit. A few months ago, we were talking about some wild. What's up?
Silk had no idea what celiac disease was. He was like, "Oh, I have celiac disease." He was like, "So, without the bread on the cheesesteak." Silk's like, "You can't eat bread?" he's like gluten.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I need to do my research a little bit more on Caleb. He's a good dude. We've been chatting a lot, but had a couple fact errors that I'll call out. Forgot that he lost that starting kicker job to Jonathan Phillips, and certainly didn't know the cheesesteak question. So
Shout out to the
that's on me. I'll work
boy,
on it, getting better.
It's hard to be out of 5'6" guy, bro. I get it. But yeah, Nick, I keep it a buck, man. If I don't know stuff, I don't be quiet. Want to know what's going on. What was that word? I ask Dan all the time. What was that word, bro?
What was that? What was that? Excuse me. What was that word?
Sounded good.
Oh man, I think we ended talking about Hayden Hansen, tight end commit, 6'5", 250. I don't think we got y'all's opinion on it. So Nick, Hayden Hansen, like I said, guy that was committed previously to to Billy Napier at Louisiana Lafayette. But Nick, what are your thoughts on Hayden?
Yeah, so I'm not sure. It kind of goes into what we were just talking about, and is like, okay, is this a transition class? Is this Billy just going and getting 3 stars or getting guys that he knows? I think if you look at Florida's depth at that position, you obviously already lost Kamori Gamble. You could lose another guy to a transfer. I think, when you're looking at how many guys they're going to sign, Florida's going to be over the 85 cap. You're going to have guys that are going to have to leave after spring. Then you look at the offenses that they ran at UL, you're going to be running a lot of 2 tight end sets. So you need some bodies in that room right now. And I don't know if you have, just from a numbers standpoint, I don't know if you have enough guys in that room.
Right. That room's already weird. The film isn't anything spectacular. He's a big athletic gym rat type of guy. I think he's gonna be a big body guy. Those guys gonna be pretty much an extension, smaller left tackle, right tackle, type of thing. So that's what you're looking at. I wouldn't look into a Kyle Pitts or anything like that. That's not that type of take. I think this is more of an inline type of guy that this kid's gonna get big as shit and block for us.
I think that's what you can kind of expect out of the tight end room for Billy Napier. I'd have to take a look, and
I think they're gonna want more athletic guys in this, regardless, right? I just think that this fits the mold of what they're trying to do, and these guys are good evaluators, and I trust I'm not gonna say I trust, but I do like that they're leaning more on not their like personal opinions, more like analytical. They have a very analytical approach to everything they're doing. So I don't think they out here just guessing, oh, we like this kid for film. I think they see his size, his potential, and how he can help in like certain blocking schemes and whatnot. And that's how they fitting him in. But I could see I don't see it on film, anything that pops out that makes this get exciting. Just to keep it a buck.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I think that that's okay to say, right? I mean, I think that that's why people listen is that we're not going to hype up everybody. I mean, at the end of the day, this is, a guy that Billy Napier and his staff, wanted to join the team. We never know, right? There's a lot of people that have, had 5 stars that, flamed down. There's a lot of people that have had 2, 3, and 4 stars that have, really, exceeded their expectations. And that's not to say that you want to recruit a lot of 3 stars compared to 4 or 5 stars. It's just saying, hey, right, you've got to fill out this roster with people that you think make your team better. And, I don't know enough about this kid, and I don't think any of us know enough about the kid, to really give a true, honest opinion other than, wait and see. So obviously they did a lot of research. They did a lot of analysis. And, I mean, gosh, they probably have 25 people that have watched film on this kid, on staff. Now I know one person's opinion matters the most there, but still, there's obviously something that they see in his ability to contribute, to this football program.
Right. And not enough stars. Fire them all.
Yeah, I mean,
are you screaming, bro? You okay?
Yeah,
I've been on the message boards a lot. That's the
there's
the only voice I have for the message board.
But I mean, Silk mentioned this earlier. I mean, is you don't have everybody to pick from, right? I mean, probably 70% of the people that you would want to recruit signed his first week of being at the University of Florida, right? So there's only so much you can do. And it's, do you go in with a roster that doesn't have full numbers, or do you go in, try to find, maybe get some hits, and then really just hope that your next recruiting class is an elevated one?
You compare it to, I mean, it's hard to compare to what Billy did, because Billy dropped a lot of his guys. I mean, if he kept like some of those guys that, like even the Jaden Gibsons and Nick Evers, this class is probably like a top 15 class right now if you keep those guys, right? But he dropped everybody. And you look at what Mario has like 10 kids committed right now. He can't take 10 or 12 or 15 guys to signing day. He's going to have to figure something out. That's just, I don't care if it's a transition class. Like, they got to figure something out. So you got to take, like you said, you got to evaluate. And Billy warned the people that this shit finna be different. Then he dropped people. We took some good transfers. We took got a 5-star. People calm down a little bit. They say, okay, I like the direction. Now, it gets riled back up when you take a few 3 stars, but you got to consider the pool. It's not a lot of inventory.
Yeah, I mean, especially tight end. I mean, there didn't seem to be a ton, in the transfer portal. And, again, you got to kind of hope. And you also have to remember that this is one of 85 kids, not, one of 12. It's not a basketball roster.
Silk's like, yeah, we've got some supply chain issues. The COVID's
right, all that.
Public said the shelves aren't fully stocked.
Inflation's high. Gas prices are through the roof.
That's the pretty much the Twitter trending starter kit right there. Supply chain, COVID. I can get a whole bag of that, right?
Got excuses on deck, ready to go.
Speaking of more excuses, the Gators during this podcast, while we were talking to Tony George, did land a quarterback commit. Max Brown previously committed to Jim McElwain and his staff over at Central Michigan.
Take that, Mac.
Yeah, there you go. Shoved him in a locker. Kid found out that he wasn't the guy humping the shark, and he's like, I got to go find another leader. So he, Max Brown, like I said, 3-star out of Lincoln Christian School in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Like I said, committed to Central Michigan for quite a long time, as well. Held offers from Washington and a few other schools. But a kid that, a lot of people, it's a pretty polar take on him. A lot of people are very excited about, his numbers. This past year, he goes 167 of 235 for 2,750 yards, 41 passing touchdowns, with just 4 interceptions on the season. Also rushed for an additional 1,300 yards and 20 rushing yards. So a guy responsible for 61 touchdowns. A guy that nobody probably really knew about until a few weeks ago. But, a lot of people have been watching film. You get some polar takes out there, on Max Brown. But Nick, you read the message boards and you obviously have watched film and have studied Max Brown a little bit, kind of in anticipation of this take. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, obviously, you see 1,000 yards and you think, okay, they took a running back that plays quarterback. But I don't think from watching, and I say watching his film, like it's just highlights we're watching. From what I've seen, I don't think he's a run first guy. It looks like he's looking down the field, scanning. I think what stuck out to me in terms of his passing is that he completed over 70% of his passes and he showed good touch downfield. So it's not like, he's either running the ball or throwing like slants and screens. Has an arm, can throw. I don't think this is a guy that, you're thinking is going to be starting in 2022, 2023. But someone that, we still need to see what the offense is going to be and what it's going to look like from looking at UL. Like it's going to be a heavy running offense and having a quarterback that can run like an Anthony Richardson should help that. But obviously the 1,000-yard plus rushing as a senior sticks out, the touchdowns that you mentioned. But to me, I think if you really look at it, he's not just a runner. He's a guy that looks to throw and has, I guess, a good arm and certainly accurate.
Right.
Like an elite arm, but I mean, he's not, friend of the podcast, Luke Del Rio.
I got similar vibes to you. Similar. Like, I'm not going to regurgitate like what you just said, but you have to you let go Nick Evers. So you put yourself in a bind. I don't know what the evals situation was with that, but we opened ourselves. We had to take a quarterback as a high school recruit. You bring somebody in the portal just in case you don't know what Emory's going to do. He may exit, but you got a guy to come in and compete with AR. So you got a solid quarterback room right now, but you had to bring in somebody this cycle. Again, it's not a lot of people out there. I'm okay with the take. Next year, I think he's aiming. He already visited the Manning boy, so clearly they're going big game hunting. The very next cycle. So whoever the quarterback I get right now in this transition class, man, I'm not finna sit here and stress that because he's a fill-in guy. He's not whoever comes in this class is not going to play next year, and they're going big game hunting this next cycle. So like. Not putting a lot of stock into it is what I'm trying to say. Sorry.
I mean, Florida has 4 question marks at quarterback right now, right? I mean, obviously, you have with Anthony Richardson, you have some questions, with concerns or some questions with injury. You have
it's a guy that spent more time in the training room than on the field.
Right.
So
right.
You need to have someone behind him.
Right. You have Jack Miller, who, was at Ohio State, obviously good enough to get an offer from Ohio State, but hasn't really played a lot in the last few years. You have Carlos Del Rio, and then you have Jalen Kitna. And technically you still have Emory Jones, but you don't have a lot of not only certainty in that room, you have a lot of question marks on, what can potentially bring to the University of Florida. So you have to look and evaluate your options. And again, you look at what's available. And this isn't a conversation of whether Max Brown is better than, Nick Evers or not. I'm not in a position to be able to decide that or how successful they're going to be at the next level. But you needed to bring somebody in and you need to try to solve that.
Yeah, that don't even matter.
Right.
Like if Nick Evers is better, I don't think that matters.
Yeah, so you've got a lot of question marks there. You had to take somebody has an interesting throwing motion, has some different mechanics, but I feel like a lot of that can get fixed. There's a lot of quarterbacks that come to college with some wacky throwing motions and things of that nature. So you look on paper, you take away the stars, you take away the names, and you look at it and you say, hey, those look like pretty good stats, and you hope for the best. But again, you have to look at supply and demand.
Real quick, while we're talking quarterback, we made a hire at the quarterback position with Ty Darlington as well. So he's gonna be a guy that's gonna be kind of helping with development. What do you guys think about that?
He's listed as he's not listed as working with quarterbacks. He's gonna be working with the I think tight ends. Tight ends. Kind of going along the lines of what you said. He was an offensive lineman, a center at Nebraska.
Correct.
And the kind of what you said with the tight ends is, essentially an extension of the offensive line. So he's gonna be working with tight ends.
What did he did? Did he do quarterbacks at Oklahoma?
Yes, he did do quarterbacks at Oklahoma. Okay. Yes.
I assume he was coming over in the same role.
Well, I think a lot of people assume that because he announced that he was leaving before they obviously announced, and the word had come out that he was joining the University of Florida staff. He announced that he was leaving since the last show. So yeah, he's coming over with tight ends, but I would imagine that there will probably be some crossover with Nick O'Hara, who is the quarterback's guy, with Billy Napier.
Okay. Gotcha.
Let's see.
I mean, all eyes are going to be on that quarterback position, the development of it. Billy's played quarterback. He's a quarterback coach. He's an offensive coordinator. So, I mean, all eyes are going to be on that position.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see the recruiting of it, everything. We'll see how it all plays out. I do think it's dope that they went to go see Manning. I'm not crazy high on that kid, but I like that we big game hunting. I like his attitude.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's the difference you saw with him, Billy Napier and his staff now compared to Dan Mullen. And I mean, this was something that we talked about for almost the last 3 years. So was Mullen and his staff seemed very okay with if they weren't being considered to just say, okay, fine, and move on to the next, right? Whereas this staff is at least seemingly kicking the tires, and, they're going to keep kicking the tires until, they can't kick any longer, until it no longer makes sense. Will Archie Manning go to Florida? I don't know, but do you need to go after and try to recruit him with every other school in the country? Yeah, because you have to see, if this kid is available and there is an opportunity. He's obviously talented. Whether you're super high on him or not, I mean, that's a guy that every school that needs a quarterback is after.
Word up.
Word up. Gators also announced Bryce Capers, he announced Bryce Capers, 6'4", 219-pound linebacker out of Riverside, that he is taking a preferred walk-on spot with the University of Florida. 3-star guy, had offers from Akron, FIU, Liberty, and a couple other schools as well. So he's going to come to the University of Florida as a preferred walk-on. So welcome, Bryce Capers.
Beating out Hugh Freeze for recruits and not even giving him a scholarship.
Hell yeah,
TJ.
Oh, man. Let's see. I do want to talk about, obviously, the big name, number one inside linebacker, Harold Perkins, announced that he will be decommitting from Texas A&M, has previously visited the University of Florida a couple weeks ago, was out in Hawaii, was wearing a lot of Gator things as well that the fan base got excited about, but announced today that he's leaving Texas A&M's recruiting class, and the door is open. I know the Gators feel confident, but still got some warning signs for you.
I'm just vibing, man. But this is the one that got the streets in the tizzy, man. Everybody's excited about Harold Perkins. Visit over the weekend. Been wearing Gator slides. Every time he can say something about Gator, he's black, but he's blushing. I can see him like turning all rosy red. So everybody's excited, man. I just think it's some smoke. I think Deion's a little bit more involved than people think. That kid's talking a lot of business lingo. He's real close with Travis Hunter and the other Coleman kid. They were hanging out. They were real close at the All-Star game. I think they're in it. But we're in a good position. If Deion wasn't in the grassy knoll hanging out, like I would feel really good with the decommitment from Texas A&M. I don't think that kid.
Deion's laying down in the grassy knoll.
Yeah, he's definitely in the grassy knoll, man. I don't know. I'm a little nervous, man. What was I about to say? I was just about to say something. I had a tape. I forgot what I was going to say. I like our position in this, though.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're in a good position. I don't think the kid's going to go play for Brian Kelly is what I was about to say. His attitude, I'm not saying he has bad. I like his attitude. I like his energy, but I don't think that type of energy is Brian Kelly's bag.
Mm-mm.
So I think Deion, that type of energy can play for somebody like Billy and Deion. Billy with the shits, Deion with the shits. So I think it's I'm gonna say JSU. He still got to visit LSU. I think it's a JSU UF battle. And I don't have any insider heat or no real sources. This is just me going off of like the vibes of this. I think Hunter's in that kid's ear, and he's just saying that there's nothing with JSU. Come on, something's up. I don't normally see people telegraph their recruitment like this. And so I'm a little skeptical that a kid of that caliber, a 5-star, just wears a bunch of Gator stuff all the way up into signing day and just signs.
Especially when he's committed to another program, right?
At that time.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But now he's decommitted.
Right. So, I mean, I think that's. I mean,
if we get him, then. But if we get him,
the lies are going to be heavy.
Oh my God! 2 5-stars off the dribble.
Woo.
It just feels like you're making sure
crazy out here.
It feels like you got all the Travis Hunter trolls off, and you're just like making sure it doesn't come around. Like I know you're like, listen, Deion's gonna get
Florida.
Deion,
such a volume show.
Yeah.
Every once in a while.
So because J.R. Smith turned, like threes hoisted in the air, turned around, hands up in the air, no problem.
There's a little more calculated than that, but
I'm just peeping in on it. Deion is also like saying he got 2 big ones out there. And I think he's talking about. I don't think he's just talking about. Well, they're saying Gentry Williams is one of those guys that may be in the mix as well. So there's Shamar Stewart, Gentry Williams, and also Harold Perkins. So out of those 2, I think all 3. I think Deion out there, but he keep tweeting about 2 big guys here out there. We'll see what happens on National Signing Day, but Deion ain't done playing. It's NIL, it's business. We have no idea what type of business Deion is talking. Nobody does. These coaches don't know, so we're shooting in the dark with this shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing that there's just so many unknowns about JSU, right? I mean, we don't know what we don't know. I mean, there's huge numbers thrown around, whether they're true or not. I mean, I think that there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, we were texting about it, earlier today is, there's a lot of pride in playing for an HBCU. There's a lot of opportunity, to go in and play immediately. Bro. There's a lot of visibility for that program as well. And there's a lot of visibility now that didn't exist maybe 15, 20 years ago. I mean, obviously kids got drafted out of HBCUs and had opportunities from lower level football, but now it exists more than anywhere because Deion's playing on ESPN now, right? So, there's an opportunity for him to go in, make an impact. And, whether he goes to JSU for, if he goes there at all, whether he goes there for 0 years or 3 years or 4 years even, there's more to it sometimes than just, what the best, what the best thing on paper looks like to you as a fan, right?
Right.
Sometimes
I threw that. I just threw
green.
Right. It looks green, like you just said, nigga. It's business, man. I just want to throw that scenario of like, like business could be going down. Like, don't assume because this kid Gator seems to be having the edge. He's wearing a lot of our stuff. Don't get caught up in the sauce. Like, I've been around recruiting too long. Like this thing could turn quick, and especially with NIL. Nobody saw JSU and Hunter, and people keep saying that they beat Florida State for Hunter. Nah, man, the whole country was out to Hunter. The best kid in the country. So Deion beat the entire country, including Nick Saban and Kirby Smart for Hunter. Kirby Smart thought he was landing. They thought he was landing Hunter that day.
Yeah.
They thought they had that in the bag. So Deion ain't just beat Mike Norvell. He stuffed Kirby in the locker as well.
And the whole like picture with the slides, like my guy went almost directly from Gainesville to Hawaii. Yeah, you're gonna take the free pair of slides that you got 24 hours ago. You're gonna take that to Hawaii. Like people are like, is he dropping? Is he dropping hints? I'm like, he just got free Jordan slides. Yeah, he's
Nick. Let me tell you something, Nick. Them Jordan slides, they might be in the trash can by now, bro. I'm pretty sure he got some Gucci's. He got some slides, man. He got slides and shit around there. I promise you he got slides, Nick.
He left the Jordan slides in Hawaii?
Yeah, he was that wasn't good. Like, he was doing that on purpose. That was calculated. That's what I'm saying. Like, he ain't just wearing them because he had just got some slides, and them the only ones he had. He had other slides. I think all that's calculated. I don't think he's just trolling. I think his interest in Florida is real.
Yeah.
I don't think he's trolling. I'm not saying that by any imagination. Like, we're in this shit. And we could very well land him. But
he turned a pair of free Gucci, or he turned a pair of free Jordan slides into some Louboutins just by tweeting one picture.
I didn't say
That's how money gets made.
I can see why you said that though.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm always looking for new sponsors for the show. Louboutin, if you want to send us some shoes.
NIL changed the game. You just don't know, especially after what Deion did. You have no idea, like, business-wise. And people say, oh, these coaches can't talk business. You can believe that if you want to. You just have no idea what's going on business-wise. So that ends the the depth charts, the facilities, all that shit matter. But business changed everything, man. Money changed the world. Like people change with money. So nothing for certain unless business is really tied down, man. So don't get caught in the sauce.
Yeah. And I do want to make a kind of a side tangential point here. A lot of people have wondered about the University of Florida and their ability to spend money and lock up, good sized NIL deals. And I'll be one to say, I'm not at liberty to say, what some of those are. I don't even know all the details of some of them, but I will say the University of Florida is starting to put together some real, some real money into NIL deals. And I think that you're going to see some of the fruits of that labor here soon. There's a lot of people working behind the scenes legally, but a lot of people working behind the scenes to try to make this whole thing work out. And that's not just with Harold Perkins, not saying one way or another, and Harold Perkins, just in general, a lot of money starting to be dumped into some of these NIL deals where I think you'll start to see some real fruits of that labor here in the not too distant future.
Hey, Nick, what I need you to do tomorrow is go by that lot that Coach just made for the players, the car lot. Drive by it today, take a video of it, and then do it again this time next year.
Okay. Is it going to start looking like an Alabama lot?
I think we're going to have a Bama lot as well.
Okay.
That's what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
This is like a before and after weight loss picture. So because go take a picture where the football players are parking now.
The scooters out there right now, Nick.
Yeah. Hey,
that's big Gerv. Gerv got like 6 cars, but
Gerv's got his own dealership.
Yeah.
That's what we need to hear, though.
It's about to get crazy out there. But yeah, we getting cooking in the NIL market.
Let's see. Trying to see if anything else has happened.
A lot has happened. What else happened?
I know, Florida's, still actively recruiting Jacoby Matthews, a guy that Florida fans have been asking a lot of questions about. 5-star guy. LSU's very involved. Florida's got an in-home visit with him towards the end of the week as well. That's gonna be a tough one to pluck from Louisiana, but he has a former relationship with Corey Raymond from his time at LSU. Obviously, Billy Napier and Coach Tony and a bunch of those other guys have kept close tabs with him from their time in Louisiana as well. But that's a name that Florida is still after as well.
He said some great things after that visit.
He did. I
read a couple of his interviews. Nick, what you got? He was saying a lot of how they use the film. The coaches use film of my man Derwin James and kind of did some side-by-side clips of him and Derwin James and show how they would use him in the defense. I thought that was very unique shit.
I think it's not unique to show a guy like how we use guys. I think it is unique to show Derwin James, if you're a coach of Florida, to show like highlights of somebody who played at a rival. But that's a guy who is at like the top of the game now in or was at the top of the game in college, and someone that a recruit would know. So I think that's an interesting spin on it, because you always show guys your film and, hey, this is how we use somebody like you in our scheme, but to show somebody else and say, hey, that's the kind of vision we have for you. I think that's unique. I don't know that I've heard that too many times.
I mean, if it's a similar scheme, because once you come off the Bama tree, like that Bama defense is so duplicated around like different leagues. It ain't like hard to say, yo, this is the defense we run. I don't know which they use. I think they use Derwin James Pro Film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
if it was Florida State, that was a Bama defense as well, right? At the time,
right?
Yeah. I thought that was unique and that was dope. These guys are attention to detail with that type of stuff.
And then the last thing with Jacoby, I think Florida was scheduled to meet with him Tuesday, but that's pushed back to Friday. And I believe Billy Napier, Tony, and Corey Raymond are all going to be in home with him on Friday.
Yeah, right before his LSU trip. I believe he leaves for LSU on Friday or Saturday. So,
I need Brian Kelly to like have stink breath and stuff this week.
I need him to talk with that accent again,
Yeah, do something weird.
Jacoby, why don't you come be part of my family?
Yeah, I need to get all that off.
You need Brian Kelly to put on his weirdest shoes for this visit.
Let's get to.
He's like Dan Mullen's like fifth cousin or something. Like the awkwardness, like he's awkward because I don't know what's up with him, but he's super awkward.
I think he's one of those people that don't realize that they're awkward. They try too hard. I mean, Dan Mullen did too, right? But that makes, jeez. Let's see. Want to get into?
Man, it just feels good to have like a. Billy just gets it, bro. We'll figure out if he can play call in a little bit in a few months. But
yeah, I need
the vibes, man, I love it. It feel like he gets it. The culture, all of it. He blends in. The staff he got in, all these guys are blending right on in, man.
Yeah, I want to give you a shout out. You got the Coach Spence laugh at one of your tweets.
Yeah.
And then he's what do they say? Plagiarism is the most sincere form of flattery. So he throws a tweet on today that looks awfully familiar.
I like it, man. We wavy around here, Dan.
I can see it. Let's see. The Gators do announce a few more coaches to this incredibly large list that they have. I'm going to go in reverse order because I think the last one we'll talk about. James Thomas Jr. is announced today as quality control for cornerbacks. Spent some time kind of all over. Has been at Angelo State, has been at Western New Mexico, has been at a lot of different places, a lot of places that I, to be honest with you, haven't heard a ton about. I believe he was at Maryland for some time as well. But it's kind of been around the block, but a name that I don't know much about. And, Nick, can you dive in a little bit more?
I wrote the story today, but did not know much about him. To be honest, has kind of spent time, like you said, at a bunch of different smaller schools. But listen, hey, it's a younger guy, and I think a lot of people would jump at the opportunity to learn and work under Corey Raymond with kind of the reputation that he's built. So it's interesting. I'm still wondering how all the
you got to build like the culture, a team, and like replacements. Because when you hire people come to poach these type of people. So I don't think we're gonna get poached quick, but you do want to bring young talent in to kind of have your own forming system a little bit here because you're gonna get poached.
And certainly Billy learned that under Saban, and I think you're starting to see that. I think you saw that a little bit with Saban this year. When you have successful coaches, you're going to get poached, and you have to keep setting up, like Silk just said, that who's the next guy, and maybe even who's the third person down the list, and that might be a 24-year-old graduate assistant who is getting their first time on a big staff. But I think like Nick Saban's had to make so many replacements that even though they were in the national championship game this year, I think like Bill O'Brien was like his first like real big miss. And you're going to see him try to like replace Bill O'Brien. Can
you imagine missing, but your quarterback still won the Heisman Trophy?
I don't think he's going to replace. Is he about to replace Bill O'Brien?
I think Bill O'Brien's is trying to be rehomed by Nick Saban. I think he might have a new OC in Tuscaloosa next year.
When are they going to do it? Nick, don't be wasting time. Nick got that boy on the trail, man.
Well, you got to.
You think he's Mario? No, Nick can fire you and get somebody today, man.
That's true.
You think he's
Mario.
Mario.
But what I'm saying is, I was agreeing with you, Silk. I'm saying like he's seen. It's interesting to me. Like Jim McElwain and Billy Napier both hold Saban in like such high regard. They like don't even say his name. It's just Coach. They only call him Coach. But I think he saw that Saban had to do it, and I think you're seeing that with how big the staff is. Not only does it help you from a day-to-day standpoint, make sure that hey, Corey Raymond doesn't need to spend 90 hours a week recruiting because we've got 9 guys behind him that are also in the DMs and talking to people and recruiting. It makes their life easier. But then you also have people that are familiar with.
I could tell Corey Raymond ain't checking no DMs like that. I could peep vibes. He ain't doing nothing.
You don't think he's clasping those glasses together and opening up Twitter?
He still got a beeper. I promise you.
He's got a flip phone and a beeper. 700 DMs unread.
Yeah.
Still has a beeper.
Now somebody, let me shut up.
Oh man. So the Gators announce him. Welcome to the staff. James Thomas Jr. The Gators do announce Corey Bell, who was previously in that quality control position for cornerbacks last season, that he's going to be the new quality control coach for running backs. So you'll remember Corey Bell from his time coaching defensive backs at the University of Florida. He did the same at the University of Central Florida, and now he's back again in a quality control position. Obviously, second year in a row, coaching running backs. So were you guys surprised by the position change? I was.
Yeah, no doubt. Of course I am. I think he's a good defensive back coach. So it's interesting though. I'm glad he's still around. He's an asset in recruiting, especially in South Florida with relationships. You got to keep those type of guys around. And that was the conversation we kind of was having last time, as far as like how many Florida guys you need on the field coaching. Right. If you got Corey Bell, you got Chaney, and these other guys with the off the field, the guy we was just talking about from Coconut Creek. It's a lot of relationships, especially in South Florida. I don't know. Forgot what we were talking about.
Yeah, I thought
moving to running backs.
Oh, moving to running back. Yeah, I think the relationships make sense, but I get that he's an asset, and I'm glad that Billy found a way to keep him on staff because he's an asset.
Yeah, I think, and I had said it on the podcast. I think he wants to get back on the field. And when that wasn't going to be an option at Florida, I wondered, okay, would somebody else have that opportunity for him? And I think he would have left Florida for an opportunity to, get back on the field, get back, recruiting in home and doing stuff like that. Because I think ultimately he doesn't want to be, a quality control guy the rest of his career. He wants to get back on the field. So I was worried that opportunity would come up and he would be gone. But any way you can keep him, I think he's an asset in recruiting and an asset to your organization.
Yeah, and I mean, it still can, right? I mean, the Gators had, one of their, former quality control or quality analysts, whatever, get poached back to Louisiana. And I would not be surprised if, people from this, quality control and analyst staff don't get poached before, maybe spring ball or at the end of spring ball, right? I mean, there's openings that are out there. Just shout out to Corey Bell for staying at the University of Florida instead of going to Miami,
Yeah.
So, and then finally the name that caught everybody by surprise, not because of his name, Chris Couch, but by his job title, game changer coordinator.
Told you, we're getting fast and loose with these titles.
Yeah. So game changer coordinator. Nick, it's my understanding that that's what Billy Napier calls special teams game changers or people on special teams or.
Yeah, I think every punter is a game changer.
Geez, we even had a kicker on. You can't even throw them in there?
Sure, why not?
But Chris Couch joins from basically the same position at, of all places, Louisiana, joins as the game changer coordinator. Definitely caught the internet by surprise. One of those names that, joins, senior director of player relations in Gator Made. What else do we have? A director of advanced scouting and self-scout. Just a lot of unique names.
Yeah, Billy was running out of names, man. Call him game changer. I don't care. Whatever y'all want to call him, man. Just get him on the field, baby. What do you guys feel about him not being the special teams coach, not being an on-the-field coach?
I think I almost think it's a waste of a spot to do it. And I know that I think people just heard Billy say that we want to make an emphasis on special teams and we want to have a dedicated coach for that. And just thought, oh, good, finally, an emphasis on special teams because, the teams Caleb Sturgis was on, Urban's teams, it was such an emphasis, and it was game-changing plays made on special teams that would eventually win you games, and we haven't had that in Gainesville in such a long time, so I think people kind of latched onto that. But when it comes down to it, no one really knew what Shane Graham was doing, but he was doing more with the punters and the kickers than Greg Knox was, and Greg Knox was just getting the heat because he had the title as special teams coordinator. So
look at that insight.
If the way that it worked out was one of your 10 coaches was going to be a special teams coordinator, cool. But you don't need to bend over backwards to have a special teams coordinator because you're going to have people who fans don't know that are working closer with the punters and the kickers than the special teams coordinator is. And like Caleb Sturgis just said, I was like, oh, who was your guy? He's like, we didn't have anyone. Like we didn't have a coach.
Do you know if this guy is like your kickers and punters coach, or is he your like special teams?
Think so. I think he's like a special teams coordinator. Like I don't think he's going to be walking over, and telling Jeremy Crawshaw like, "Hey, I think your drop on your last punt was a little
trying
off."
to find opportunities and making sure you're protecting and all that type of stuff, like scheming, evaluating, looking at film, that type of shit. I'm letting the S word fly a lot this show, man.
It's okay.
Sorry.
It's okay. I like that you'll say it and just call it the S word right after.
Right after.
As if he's censoring himself,
Gee willikers, I keep saying that darn S word.
About to spell it like my kids are listening or some shit.
Keep saying it. You're going to go to H-E double hockey sticks if you keep talking like that.
And then I think we've talked about him on the show. He did get officially announced. He was spotted in many a photo before. But one of my play cousins, Josh Thompson, joined the staff officially as the director of football operations. At least it was finally released. So shout out to Silk and Ahmad for teaching me the term. But my play cousins joined staff and put out a great video today with the State of Miguel theme song in it. So
you seen that, man? It's good. Everything just makes sense. But I heard that song. I seen Katie and them in there just vibing. They doing their thing. And then I hear the horn. Burp, burp, burp. Oh my God, bro! State of Miguel going off. They know what's up. They know the vibes.
Yeah, we got Harold Perkins checking our Instagram. We got State of Miguel song. I mean, they know. They know what's up.
Yeah, they know.
Yeah, they know what's up.
Nick, he was saying play cousin. Do you know what play cousins are?
Sure don't.
Play cousins is something like black people use. So like my mom had a friend. My mom's friend's kids are now
that's your cousin.
Cousins, but they play cousins. Yeah.
I thought all Thompsons were just related.
I plead the fifth. I don't know.
Maybe.
I'm not trying to go down that rabbit hole, Nick.
that could be
Nick's trying to set me up here, Silk. He's trying to set me up here.
That could get very wild. We can figure it out.
Go ahead, Dan. I'll mute the mic. You can go ahead.
No.
A little awkward.
But Josh Thompson joins. We'll change that subject real quick. Joins us from Auburn. Previous in the same role at Auburn, and then previously at Arkansas, where he was a director of, I believe, on-campus recruiting there, or some iteration of that job title over there. So obviously, a guy that's done the role before. So be curious to see, how that role shakes out, how that role might be different than some of the other roles that sound like they would be in similar responsibilities. But Coach Kaz, pardon me, will, I believe, report right up to into him.
Report into him.
Yeah, as the assistant DFO. I'm just assuming, but who do I know, Nick has yet to get me an org chart.
Yeah, why would I do an organization chart when they've got like 60 more hires they're gonna make? Like we'll get to that eventually. Maybe I can get
it's gonna look like when the feds have the
that's
the crime family.
It's like when they're bringing down a mafia family. That's what it's going to look like. You've got the Don, Billy, then the 10 coaches, and then it's like spider webs down from there.
I'm here for the free content,
I think it's dope because we talk we can talk whatever we want to talk about Georgia at the time, but when I started seeing them throwing a lot of money and just like a lot of assistance, man, you just and then you start seeing them just take over on the trail, and you see the money that they're throwing at recruiting, right? That they're throwing at the program. So it feels good to see our program throwing money at it. I'm giddy. Ain't a whole lot gonna make me upset right now because I know money fix things. If we throwing money at a problem, eventually it's gonna get fixed. The programs that spend the most money, we're in the playoffs. Let's spend some bread.
I love spending money that ain't mine.
Listen, man, that's why I spent money all last fall. Imagine how the money I'm gonna spend this fall, Nick.
So just think of how much more money Nick would have to contribute to the program if he wasn't at Embers every other day,
Right. Nick's not a fan, bro. He just,
that's right. He used to be. That's right.
It's a job for Nick, bro.
It makes me money.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh man, let's see what else. Gators on a 3-game winning streak, currently losing to Ole Miss though in basketball. Shout out to women's basketball. Baby. A couple of top 25 victories over Kentucky and LSU. I believe that they will likely be ranked in the next poll. So shout out to women's basketball, who has, been kind of bringing up the rear for the last, decade and a half. So good to see them get some success and have some, some big victories, under an interim coach who I would imagine will probably keep that title now.
Weird. You lose your best player to injury / transfer and then start winning all your games. So wonder what was going on behind the scenes there with Lavender Briggs and the women's basketball team, but good for them ripping off a nice win streak here.
Just threw out so much vague stuff, Nick.
I don't know, man. I'm not a women's basketball reporter. I'm just putting some stuff out there into the universe, and maybe a Stadium and Gale listener knows some information.
This guy, man.
Nick, and I think I even got to bring it up last time. There's that gif of I don't even know what he is. Like, it's a rat guy that's like smoking a cigarette, drops like a can of gasoline behind him. He's walking, just throws it back, lights up the whole city. That's Nick right now,
Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just talking, dog. We're on a podcast.
So I'm just saying, hypotheticals.
Just talking.
Yeah.
Seems interesting. Maybe only to me.
You Al Sharpton at a rally right now, bro.
That's the first time Nick's ever been compared to Al Sharpton. I like that, though. I can see a lot of similarities.
Just get the people going.
That's right. You sure do. Let's see. Anything else that you guys want to talk about? Obviously, we got recruiting out of the way. We got the staff hires out of the way. We're still a couple weeks away from spring camp. But anything else before we get to the Manscaped ad read?
Silk, you got you want to talk about the Kush House on
signing
day?
For sure. On National Signing Day, I got an ad read written down, but I'm just gonna freestyle it, man, because I don't need it. We kicking it, man. National Signing Day, the Roll Up Network. Trying to get as many guys over there as we can, but we got the Roll Up crew. Will be our first time in the studio. We're doing a live broadcast. It's sponsored by Gramco, some guys that are Florida growers, a Florida brand of hemp. The leader in that industry. They're partnering with us to do a live broadcast, man. So we're gonna be kicking it. We got some former Gators coming in. So Brandon Hicks is catering it. All the food, vibes, everything's free. So if you want to check it out, go on Eventbrite. There's a link there. You just RSVP and get you a ticket there. You can watch this broadcast live at the studio in Orlando. But Brandon Hicks is catering it. Ahmad's coming to hang out, former Stadium and Gale alum. Got a break outside, the All-American. May get Rainey in the building. Rainey confirms, but he don't really confirm. Y'all know Rainey, so I think he's gonna be there. Is what I'm gonna say.
Chris Rainey's a silent commitment. You'll have to see on signing day if the paper comes in. Yeah.
We'll see what happens, but I'm excited. It should be a lot of good vibes. We have a live artist that's gonna be in the building. His name JJ Artist. He's gonna do some live painting of some big three. Maybe football players. We're not sure exactly what he's going to paint. Very talented guy. We also have some body painting going on for each of the fan bases. So it'll be a Florida model getting painted. A lot of art. We like to mix art whenever we're doing things at the Kush House. So it's going to be good vibes. If you're in the area, pull up, kick it with us, and everything. If you can't come in person, it's all good. We're going to be streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. All of the above, man. We're going to be very loud on National Signing Day, so pull up and hang out with us.
Absolutely. Well, Silk, we're going to go from one ad read to another. Take us out with the Manscaped ad read. I think it's my song of the week, so I got to find one real quick, but take us home.
Shout out to the great folks of Manscaped, the best of the best when it comes to man grooming. Be sure to use coupon code SG at checkout for 20% off. Promo code SG. Lawnmower 4.0, man. Best of the best. I need to use that thing.
Oh, good.
Yeah, bro. I lost the charger. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I lost the charger. I got to find. I went to my brother's on vacation. Somewhere in the mix here, I lost my charger. So I got up there to use it with my brother. I couldn't find the charger, so I couldn't use it. So it's still dead. Now I'm back home and it's still dead. So. I didn't start
Shakira's asking questions.
Right. Well, yeah, use coupon code SG at checkout for 20% off, man. Free shipping.
I love it, dude. I love it. Let's get us out of here. We've got a couple quick announcements. We got a great show. Again, thank you to Tony George and Caleb Sturgis today. Next week, we've got Trey Burton coming on.
Let's go.
We've got Gavin Dickey, ready to come on as well. Jenny Rowland, women's gymnastics coach, which had another big victory. We got a lot of people waiting in the hopper.
Where'd you get them vibes from, bro? Where else you get them type of vibes, dog? You know the interviews, how we give it up. Look what you got. Look what they got. Look what the people got today, bro. We gave them 2 bangers in one.
Yeah.
This could have been 2 separate classics on the lowest of keys, Nick.
It could very well could have been.
Yeah. I'm not gonna drop the name, but I've told you guys who it is. If I can pull through, we've got an epic guest hopefully coming on too.
Oh my God, that would be an amazing one on the lowest of keys.
Let's see who. Oh, we had a Spaces. Nick and I had a Spaces on Wednesday night. We had Chris McClellan join us.
Spaces the night that I record roll up.
Yeah, I know it's been bad timing, but we had a great time. We're gonna probably try to do a few more of those. May not be super often, but every once in a while. But we had a blast. We had Devin Moore join us. We had Chris McClellan join us. We had Mordecai McDaniel join us. Don't know if he totally remembers, but he definitely joined. We had a great time. We hung out heavy that day. We appreciate shout out to Jen from Gator Collective.
You're giving me crap about throwing accusations out
there. No.
Dan's over here pulling up from the other free throw line.
Yeah.
Dan's shooting 86 footers out. Yeah, checking for a wire.
Oh man. Shout out to Jen from the Gator Collective. We had a bunch of people on. I think we had like 1,500, 1,600 people ride through. So we appreciate you guys doing that. So another 2-hour plus episode complete. Appreciate you boys. We're going to go
gas, man. What you got? We're
going to go a little Bender vibes here. Oh, before we do that,
Bender, bro.
I knew there was something that we didn't talk about. We got to talk about Tyrone Hopper.
Oh shit, yeah. What are we talking about?
Timeline. Yeah. He goes in the
good
portal.
Call, Nick.
Yeah.
I mean, damn, bro.
Yeah. So he goes in the portal, pulls his name out of the portal, goes back in the portal today. Let's see.
So I made a joke about it. Because he was in the portal for like 68 minutes. Should have left it in for one more minute. Would have been nice. But I thought, that's SEC speed. You're in and out the portal like that. Incredible. I made a joke, just when you want to push a button just to see what it does, but you can't, like, players don't enter themselves in a portal. You go to like compliance and it's something compliance does for you. So there's a whole process to enter the portal and to exit the portal.
That's what I thought.
It's a process.
I thought people talking like he physically put himself in there and we like pushed him out of it.
Yeah. I don't think it's like a button just click and unclick, right?
No, it's not like that one click on Amazon. You don't just hit it and you've got some toilet paper coming to the house. It's easy. It's not like that. So interesting. Listen, you put your right foot in, you take your right foot out, you put your left foot in, and then it's not hokey pokey. So I think he's gone. Like, listen, you're back in the portal. I think you've made your intentions clear. One for me, easy first pick would be Auburn. Christian Robinson was integral in his recruitment. Is now at Auburn. I thought he was.
Huh?
He's gonna head out to Auburn. I think maybe.
You talking about going into now? I gotta use it one more time. I can't say a shit show. You go into a shit show with Auburn. Harsin is on the hot seat. Like Derek Mason gone,
just left.
Right. So like you stepping in to do what with a linebacker coach that really ain't developing that great. I don't know where he's heading, but Auburn. I don't know if it's just Auburn. There's a lot of nuances around this situation that we just don't have a lot of information on. Coach Bates, the linebacker coach, now coached his brother at North Carolina. His brother transferred from North Carolina. All of this stuff it's never clear cut and dry. So we don't know what all the nuances and stuff is behind the scenes, why he got in the portal of in that. But that's just some of the information around it. Is it a big loss? Yeah, it's a big loss. That room is not full of talent. It's not a lot of talent in that room, and he was one of the most talented ones in that room. I will probably only put Ventrell Miller ahead of him as like guys that you can rely on next year. Or we're looking to rely on rather. Dewan Black has that potential, but just not a lot of experience than we can see on paper. He's just a lot of talent. What do you guys think about the exit and the rest of the depth chart?
Go ahead, Nick.
It's a loss, like you said. You don't spin it. That was going to be your starting linebacker next to Ventrell next year. So you're not losing the guy where you can say doesn't matter. We got a guy to replace him. Like that was going to be your starting linebacker. And I think Patrick Toney, Billy Napier, any of the coaches would tell you, yeah, he was in our plans for next year. So no way to spin it. It's a loss.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything else you can say other than it's lost. Wish him the best of luck. There's a lot. I would say, look at the source where you're getting information from. I would say, take everything with a grain of salt. But you hope and wish the best for him. He's a young man that's trying to fulfill a dream, and I hope wherever he lands, whether it's still at the University of Florida, which I don't think it will be, or another school, I wish him the best. He's a talented player, and I hope he gets the chance to live out those dreams. So it does suck. Florida, is obviously missing a lot at the linebacker position. So, not much else to say.
I told y'all in the group chat we got to recruit some rosters.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, if that's a position. You obviously have Harold Perkins out there. You have the transfer from Louisiana that was a middle linebacker that's still out there. You have probably some people on the portal.
I don't want to get people thinking he's okay. I'm not that excited if that's the kid we go after, but that's somebody that knows the system and all whatever they're running. But I think we, like I said, in spring, we're not done with the portal. The portal's not going to stop on National Signing Day. Spring ball is going to be another shakeup. It's going to be more portal action out the spring ball, and I think we need to recruit some rosters at the linebacker position.
Yeah, and I mean,
rosters.
And it's going to happen randomly too, right? I mean, Tyron Hopper's 3 weeks into the school year, a week into the new coach, and his name gets put in the portal. So I think that you're going to see more and more of that. But Florida desperately needs linebackers and need talented people that can play right away. You can't just solely rely on developmental players either.
And like I said, it's like I got bullied into putting out on Gators Online. Got bullied into putting out a scholarship chart, and I'm like, this is very fluid. Florida has not typically in the past over recruited. They haven't had more than 85 guys on scholarship. You can go into spring with more than 85 scholarship players. You can't start fall practice with more than 85. That happens all over the place. Like it's a dirty side of college football. It's better for the players now because you can transfer. It used to be kids got processed out. Alabama, maybe it wasn't even publicized as much as it should have been with gray shirt kids. And all of a sudden you signed Alabama and you think you're going to be on scholarship and play. Well, now you're gray shirted. So we'll still pay for your school, but you're not going to play this year. So Florida is going to be I think they're at 84 right now. They're going to sign more than one player on signing day. So they're going to be over 85 when spring comes. There's going to be transactions.
No more. I like it.
Hey, there's going to be a lot of kids leaving schools and leaving, Florida and other schools because there's going to be kids that stayed on with a new coaching staff.
We're in a talent acquisition business, man.
Look at you. There it is.
I was at the meeting, Nick.
Yeah, you're in the building.
I can see it. All right, boys. We'll see you boys next week. Same corner, same time.
Same corner, same time, man. It's a pleasure, fellas.
Cam, take us out. We're gonna go a little bit back to some Bender vibes here. There's a new song that I heard at the gym the other day. It's by somebody called Dub Vision. Don't know if it's a group. Don't know if it's a DJ. Don't know if it's multiple DJs. Who the heck knows? But it's a really good song called Keep My Light On. So we'll play that one, and we'll see you boys
next week. It doesn't sound like you care about the song, so I'm not even going to.
No, it's a fantastic song. I just don't know anything about Dub Vision. I have some ideas, but
okay.
Yeah. But it's a great song.
All right, I'll check it out then.
All right, boys.